combo, Erie, Pennsylvania resident and Wendy's patron Don Turnby, 38, expressed uncertainty today regarding what to do with all the extra ketchup packets. Turnby had asked for extra ketchup upon placing his order for a ketchup necessitating Biggie fries.
Well, I knew it was too many ketchups because I usually only need 3 or 4 for my Biggie fries, but I just took them anyway.
At his nearby home, the Turnby pantry is crammed with hundreds of other restaurant condiments, including single-serving packets of Taco Bell mild sauce, Arby's horsey sauce, soy sauce, McDonald's chicken McNuggets hot mustard sauce, pats of shed spread country crock from Ponderosa Steakhouse, and a selection of Smucker's jellies and jams from several area diners. Doyle Redland for The Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. You can call in at 603-283-6160 and get on the air and talk about whatever you would like within FCC limits.
Within reason.
Within reason. I mean, sometimes they're unreasonable and we still let them talk for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's on you then.
Yeah.
Cut them off!
Sometimes.
Hit that dump button.
Sometimes. It depends.
It depends on what you mean by unreasonable. Sometimes they're just boring.
If their name is Skeeter.
It
Yeah.
also depends on, like, the host's feelings about the call in that moment.
Yeah, I let Tom talk for a really long time yesterday, just like, they won't clear off the snow off the sidewalks. I just was like, yeah, go ahead.
I like Tom better when he was like more anti-cop.
No, he still does that.
Does he really?
Calls in to celebrate that cops got shot somewhere.
Okay, good. I feel like he doesn't do it as much as he used to.
That's true. I feel like he has a bunch of like personal gripes he wants to call in about. Like yesterday, it was just like
The snow
on the sidewalks. So
That the city wouldn't clear?
yeah, he says that the city clears the roads by throwing the snow onto the sidewalks where he lives.
That is true.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's
They do that
horrible.
to us too. Like they have this little sidewalk plow thing, and
Yeah,
they
I've
go
seen
down
that.
the sidewalk.
And it comes back and throws it back on the road.
They throw it on the road and like on our walkway that we
Okay.
just shoveled.
That's so annoying.
Yeah,
It's
because they don't
horrible.
come until much later when people are already up walking around.
You
I'm
gotta
so
do it in
glad.
order. Sweep the road, sweep the sidewalk, and then sweep your yard back on the sidewalk.
Right.
So glad
That's
that I
right.
don't have a
Pedestrians
sidewalk
should walk on the street.
in front of my house because first of all, just like that would make my dog bark all the time. But that's another thing is like I can just shovel the snow into like the kind of like the side of the road. But this is a snow people problem. Like anybody who's listening and David from New Mexico, they're just like boring.
Sand.
Well, he's going to be worried about it at some point because he's coming here.
I actually was supposed to call David today, but I forgot.
Like personal chat.
Yeah, for our grandma swap.
Oh,
I got actually
getting
fell
cozy
asleep.
with callers now.
Swapping grandmas.
I fell asleep just like sitting up today. That's never happened to me.
You're getting old.
It's winter. That's why
Yeah.
I fell asleep and broke my glasses because I was tired because it's winter.
Sucks so
Sleepy
bad.
season.
We used to be watching my buddy play video games, and all of a sudden he'd just be walking into the wall. Like, what is he doing? And then fell asleep with the controller in his hands.
Oh my God.
I'm not like that.
Okay.
Some people are like that, like they fall asleep just within seconds.
I can definitely fall asleep within seconds, but I prep myself for it. I'm like on the couch or in bed. I'm lying down. I got my pillow, and then bam, I'm out.
I'm
I have
like
to
a
be
pro
exhausted.
sleeper.
Yeah.
I have to be exhausted to fall asleep like that. Usually it's like hours and hours, and I have to like take melatonin
Yeah,
and
no.
have podcast going so I have something to listen to so my brain doesn't just talk at me the whole time.
I have white sound every single night. Like if I hear even like one bird chirp, it's over for some reason, but I can just fall asleep the second I decide to.
Yeah.
I've been waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning lately because my upstairs neighbor is making espresso or something extremely loud.
Oh my
Their kitchen
God.
is above our bedroom. And so I just hear bang, 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 bang.
My neighbors have actually
morning.
been using their kitchen at night. I'm not sure who it is. I don't really care, but I start to smell food as I'm going to sleep, and that's annoying. I just have to kind of like ignore it, and then I stop being able to smell it. It doesn't really make sense, but
It's a nap violation.
yeah. But the thing is, I was
smell
thinking,
encroaching on your property.
I just need to get some kind of like caulk with an L and fill in like cracks around my room because it
You're gonna
shouldn't
fill
be
in
so.
cracks with cock?
It shouldn't be so.
right.
It shouldn't be so possible to smell like things that they inhale and things that they cook.
Check your windows. Your windows might have a seal leak.
That is actually definitely a thing because every once in a blue moon with like a serious wind gust, my blinds move.
There you go.
Yeah.
These old houses are so drafty.
Yeah.
Like I can stand in my apartment and feel the wind blowing like all over the place.
You have a landlord though.
I have
You
a
have to
landlord.
you have to go to the landlord and go like, hey dude, like fix the windows.
I have a landlord.
I wouldn't say
Bonnie's
mine
like,
is like.
I gotta call somebody to fix the windows.
I don't think mine is so bad that it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna not be able to like live without it. But I think the smell is more of like cracks in the floor,
Okay.
because it like
They're
leads
cooking
to
in the basement.
yeah, well, it leads to underneath my and
Are they
over.
Breaking Bad
so
in the basement?
it couldn't be
Yeah, let 'em
outside.
cook.
And another thing about sleeping is like and needing the white noise is I just get paranoid that every single noise outside is like someone scratching to get into my house, like so stupid. But
That's
last
the
night.
black noise.
Last night, oh my god, I turned on my camera because Coconut heard something and it was freaking me out. And a bunny hop into view and then turned its head directly at the camera, which I tested it. It doesn't do anything when I turn my camera on. It looks exactly the same. And the bunny stared directly at the camera for like 6 whole seconds, and I was like, I'm getting creeped out. Like, that is weird. And then he like turns around and hop. I was like, what are the odds of that? Seriously.
The
Maybe they-
rabbits around here
Maybe
are
they
not
can see
afraid
infrared.
of anything.
Can they see infrared?
I don't know.
That
Okay.
could totally be a
Maybe.
thing. That's such a good point because the lights are red, but they're always red, but maybe they change a bit. But it was just like crazy timing. The rabbit was like off screen, hop, turn, like instant, and its like eyes are like glowing at me. I was like, this is like a government spy rabbit, not a
Hey, why not?
Rabbits
normal
aren't real.
rabbit.
They made like new drones that move like birds with bird legs and stuff that can walk and hop around.
Way to feed that conspiracy.
Yeah, right. Birds aren't real. They're never going to be real again. Oh, we didn't even introduce ourselves. The people you're listening to is Lori,
Bonnie.
And Richie Rich.
and this is Free Talk Live. But the rabbits here for some reason like aren't afraid of anything. I would go out in my backyard, in Keene, and they'd be eating my garden, and I'd be like, "Get out of here!" And I'd be yelling at them, and they'd just stare at me and keep eating.
Oh my
And,
god.
like, I'd have to like
Get an
toss
air
stuff-
rifle.
You need a
toss stuff
Coconut.
at them.
They're scared of Coconut.
Yeah.
He's scared them out of the yard, and when I was like, no, Coconut, don't do that. And then they've never come back.
Well, he's terrifying. Look at him.
Did
Yeah.
you raised rabbits, right?
Yeah.
Just get an air rifle, and then now you got food.
No.
Yeah.
No? You don't want
I-
to eat rabbits?
I do. They're just so
You don't want to
cute.
shoot the rabbit?
I mean,
It's tearing up her garden.
I have
so
so many
cute.
of them already, and they're much better than wild rabbits.
Oh, I was gonna
Okay.
say, and the ones you have are different, yeah. So
Yeah.
they were bigger. So
Bigger.
Well, then use those for like
Meatier.
luck. Sell rabbit's feet.
no, they're so cute.
So I tried to make rabbit's feet one time out of my rabbit's feet, and
Okay.
it's like a really long process. to
Doesn't
do
it just already exist? You don't have to make it.
But you
Yeah,
have
but-
to like preserve them so they
Oh,
don't
okay.
rot.
All
right.
Like,
What do you
here's
even
a
use?
rotten foot.
I had a little cat, like sculpture made of rabbit when I was a kid that my mom got us all one, and like the cats would go crazy and try to eat it if it was just near them. Like it seemed like it must have still smelled like something. Like they would go crazy and at least be like
Formaldehyde.
licking
Yeah,
it.
formaldehyde.
Is that what it is?
You like? I think that's how they normally do it, and like tanned things are done with all these chemicals and stuff. But I didn't do it like that. It was alcohol, like rubbing alcohol.
And it
Okay.
didn't work, or it just
And-
took a long time.
Rubbing alcohol and borax, I think, was what it was. It just took forever, and like I took it out and dried it, and it could still move the feet, and so I had to like put it back in. It took forever, like weeks.
Were you making like keychains, or what do you do with them?
Yeah,
once
I made
they're-
keychains, and then I was like, I don't like these, and I just tossed them. They weren't good because it was my first time,
Oh, yeah.
But then I never did it again.
Okay. Well, there's your problem right there. You got to keep on these things. First one always goes bad.
Yeah, I know. It's just
Yeah.
like pancakes. Like the first pancake always comes out weird.
Do you butter your surface or like?
No.
Okay.
For pancakes?
Yeah.
My mom used to put like canola oil as a kid, and it's so good because it slightly fries them. So I do that, but with butter.
Okay.
Or I think coconut oil would work.
I'll take like a paper towel with coconut oil and like rub it on there.
Okay.
It's just like kinda a little bit oiled,
All right.
but I don't like because when the pancake cooks, then it gets like absorbs all of that and it gets all greasy.
I
Okay.
love that.
Oh, greasy
Well, that's why.
food,
I mean,
like
you put butter on your pancakes anyway, right? So if you butter
I
the
don't.
pan,
I
you
do
don't?
that,
Okay.
that too.
That's
Honestly,
that's the traditional way to eat a
It's the
pancake,
traditional
Lori.
way. Yeah, that's how other people like them, and like smothered in so much syrup that it doesn't taste like anything but syrup.
I want to
Okay.
be less of a fat lover, but like I can just eat pieces of butter or like bites of butter. I don't think it's good for you. Like,
That's a keto
butter.
thing.
I
I've
like
heard
butter.
keto
I just
people
don't
do
like
that.
it
Yeah, but I'm
like when
not.
it melts and everything's all soggy, greasy, weird. I don't like that. But I like butter, like just soft butter on bread.
I feel like I have like
I'll
almost
eat
no
that.
texture problems. Like I eat things that are weird textures that people don't like. Like Ian doesn't like. He takes his yogurt and he'll stir. I'm like, no, you got to get the watery part, and then you got to get the like cream, and then get the bottom. And he's like, ew, no, mix it all up so it's one texture.
That's right. That's how you do it.
Do you do that with peanut butter too?
I don't like peanut butter.
Okay. With the layer of oil that forms the top if you get the organic stuff?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that
Okay.
because I've had that before. But I just don't like peanut butter. I don't like peanut butter
Alright.
cookies. I hate the smell.
Interesting.
It's like one of my favorites.
Yeah, peanut butter's great.
Everybody loves Reese's or Reese's, whatever. I hate them.
Really.
Reese's Pieces is probably my favorite candy.
Reese's Pieces?
The pieces. Not the peanut butter cups, the pieces.
I'm just happy that I found somebody else that says it like I do, because people are like, it's Reese's Pieces. And I'm like,
Pieces?
no, the other way. No,
Oh.
that's how I say it, Reese's Pieces. Never mind. I'm wrong. I think it's more fun.
It's definitely more fun.
His name is
But it says
Reese, and those
pieces.
are his pieces.
Reese's.
I don't know
Reese's.
You don't have to know him.
Pieces, I think is what I say. But
Yeah,
The-
because his name is Reese. That's how you say Reese.
when I
Reese's.
did eat it, the cereal was good. It's like chocolate
possessive.
and.
Oh, the cereal's not good.
Oh, I
Because
liked
it tastes like corn.
Well, that's true. They all do. They all have corn.
If I can find it, I get the Reese's peanut butter in the jar.
I have one cereal that I still eat, and it's made of not corn. It's made of rice. And oh wait, I have two. The other one is also made of rice, but it's not as amazing. But it's made of rice that they like turned into a meal and then just put into little shapes of rice. So it's not just puffed rice. That way, it doesn't have to be like cooked in oil. And you have to put your own sugar on it because they don't make it sweet enough. But it's amazing.
I like, I don't know, all cereal.
My
Except for
stepbrother,
Reese's Puffs, maybe.
my stepbrother used to add sugar to his Frosted Flakes.
That's
Dude,
intense.
Yeah.
That's a lot of sugar
Right?
already.
I hate.
And nobody has like a serving size of cereal. It's like a half a cup or something like that.
I mean, we're boys, so it was
like
half a box at a time.
Yeah, it's like a salad bowl filled
Yeah.
up. Like, yes, I know. I've seen it.
I hated the sugar babies. I think they're called. They're
Are
like
those like the
What
little
about sugar
caramel
daddies?
things?
they look like a bean. Oh no, I mean cereal. Maybe they're not sugar
Sugar
babies.
Smacks?
Sugar Smacks. I hate
Honey Smacks.
those.
Oh,
Honey Smacks. They look like black eyed peas.
And they smell like they're burned.
They do, and I think they're disgusting.
No, they're good.
I
Smacky the
hate
Frog.
them. Pops were good. I'm saying were because I won't eat any of that anymore. It's so bad for you.
Some of that stuff tasted better as a child. If you go back and try to
Yes.
get the nostalgia flavor, it's not the same.
Yeah, most of it. It's because like a lot of them use, high fructose corn syrup now instead of like actual sugar.
Okay.
But the Golden Grams went back to using actual honey, so those taste like childhood again.
Okay.
Those are pretty good.
I don't know if I
will still eat cereal. Like I don't care that it's bad for me.
don't
I'm
think I
going
ever
to
got
eat it.
the.
And milk makes my stomach hurt. I'll still eat it. It's just like how you have like that comfort thing that sometimes you're like, oh, I just want to have like a little snack of something that makes me feel
Sure.
cozy.
That's exactly
That's
how I
mine is
feel.
Cereal.
That's why I have the rice ones
Yeah.
because I loved that as a kid.
I just get the adult cereals.
Like Kashi.
No, like Special K and
Oh.
Wheaties.
Oh, I like plain bran flakes with like banana in it. That's
Well,
what's good,
okay.
too. Yeah. those are
That
good.
counts.
That's good.
I like banana and cereal, but not
It's
any other
just-
fruit.
It's not the cereal, it's the milk and banana. Like, I don't care what cereal it is. I don't even enjoy the cereal at that point. It's just the milk and banana.
I like banana and oatmeal.
Ian will put like any fruit in. He'll eat any fruit any time of day. But it's like, ooh, time for a delicious dessert. I can have anything. How about a kiwi? And then he eats the skin too.
Ew.
And he'll like put that in the cereal, and that's just like you're just making your cereal sour. How can
The
you do that?
texture of eating the skin of a kiwi is, I could never.
I tried it once because he was like, it's not that bad, just try it. And it was just like, okay, I expected it to be worse, but still, like, you can just not.
Yeah, you could not.
Could just not.
So, have you guys been following the LA wildfire?
How could you
drama?
not?
Yeah, it's been like the big thing.
No.
They had, there's been a bunch of big things. There was the bombing, and then what was the other one he drove a car through? Those two
Okay.
I haven't even paid that much attention to because of the fire thing.
The
has been
terrorist
so
attacks.
huge. Yeah, the terrorist attacks.
Okay.
I really haven't
Pay
like
too much
seen
attention
much.
to terrorist attacks anyway because
What can you really?
right.
What can you follow about the fires is actually what I was going to ask because it's like,
Oh.
I've been seeing stuff about it.
There's
but
so many different angles you could take on the fire.
is there just like
Yeah.
conspiracy theories out already?
Well,
No.
Oh,
so
Not all of it.
their reservoirs are empty, and they knew that they were empty beforehand, and they're
But they're empty for like renovations.
Yeah, well, that and they
Okay.
sent
What
a
does
lot
that
of
mean?
water out.
They were going to fix it.
Make it, like,
drained
bigger?
it. They drained it to fix it,
wow.
I heard it was because
allegedly.
they sent a bunch of water out to save some fish.
The smelt.
Oh
The
my
smelt.
god.
To save some fish out in the ocean.
They might
because-
have.
because the ocean needs California's water because that's going to make a difference.
Is it an ocean fish? That was
It's
like a
an-
first
No, it's a
Ocean
pond fish, isn't it?
Okay, well, that's different.
I've only ever heard of it
Oh.
from Animal Crossing, and they call it a pond
Is it-
smelt. But that's all I'm basing that off of. So many animals I only ever heard of because of Animal Crossing.
Did you catch them all?
Yeah, on Animal Crossing Wild World,
Okay.
which is
That's the DS one?
the DS one.
Okay.
I've caught like everything ever, like fish, bugs. Maybe not all bugs.
Found in the North Atlantic and Pacific Oceans,
Okay.
and also in rivers, streams, and lakes. So I guess it's an everything fish.
You would think with that level of survivability, it wouldn't be on the endangered list.
And it wouldn't need California's water. But also, like, so their fire hydrants weren't working.
Because the
and they-
reservoir was empty.
Yeah, the reservoirs were empty, and like they knew about all of this, and they fired a bunch of firefighters during COVID because they wouldn't take the shot. And then they had like
Oh my God.
DEI initiatives where they were not hiring white men because they were white men, and they wanted diverse workers.
I actually saw one thing about that today. So it wasn't specifically about the fires, but it was from like, I don't know, 2 months ago or something. It was this lady who's like clearly like a big lesbian lady. And she's like,
Let's call her a dyke.
Not a small
I was going to
lesbian
say
lady, a
that,
big
but
one.
I don't
A
mean
butch?
it offensive.
Okay.
She's just the masculine kind of lesbian lady. And she was like kind of overweight too, and like a big one. And
That's
she,
kind of what I'm picturing when I hear that word.
yeah, she was like, so a lot of people ask, you're the fire chief? Well, how do I know you're going to be able to pull my husband out during a fire? And I think to myself, well, he really shouldn't have got himself into that situation in the first place.
I think she said was he put himself in a bad place or something.
Put
like
in a
that.
bad position. Like, well, he
Yeah,
got
yeah.
himself in a bad position to begin
Does the
with.
fire chief actually like go out to the fires and do the rescue? I feel like
I
that's
don't know.
grunt
That's a good
work.
point. But also, even if I can't believe that the fire chief is blaming people for being like asleep when, you know, like an electric fire happens or a beam falling on them is what somebody was saying.
Or like there's a wildfire that burns down your house.
Yeah.
You brought that on yourself. You
Well,
shouldn't have dressed so
you
flammable.
should have evacuated.
You shouldn't
for
have dressed
sure.
so flammable. You were asking for it.
Yeah.
If it's just like the hurricane people, man. If you waited it and you're like, I'm just gonna like ride it out right here, and they're like, help me, you kind of put yourself in that position.
There were a bunch
You
of
had a
people-
lot of forewarning. You could have got out. You could have evacuated. You could have let it burn. Got whatever you could out.
A lot of people are like,
No, wait till it's on your doorstep.
they're just like, even when it comes near to them, they're like ready to evacuate, and then it gets like handled. So they're like, okay, I almost was gonna leave, and I didn't. So I
Yeah.
guess I've heard more about this than I was thinking I did, but it's just like, you know, I'm not looking into it. It
You
didn't
can
seem like there was
absolutely
nothing to
do
look
that.
for.
But like, don't say it's not your fault when the fire's there and like, wow, man, you know, like the tornadoes coming through and they go, oh, I'm just gonna videotape this,
Yeah.
rather than go into the bunker,
Right.
and then you get lucky when it just blows past you. But
This
if you're in the
woman-
path,
Didn't say about like the fires we're talking about now, though. She said like a couple months ago, just about like anyone who, you know, like gets caught in a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a firefighter, but it's more important that I'm a woke, like gay,
Short-haired woman.
biracial, whatever.
depends. Are you a good firefighter?
But that's
Well,
what
she's
they
in a
were saying
wheelchair,
is,
so
like,
Oh,
I'm
well
just
then no.
kidding.
she's got
Then
no
no.
legs. But she was basically like, that was the thing that they were hiring for, was diversity. And like, it doesn't, if you can do the job, then who cares what you are? Like,
Yeah.
and they were saying part of it, they were like, oh, if you have, she said this, if you have some type of emergency, you want someone to show up who looks like you so they can better understand your situation. Like, I'm on fire. That's
Yeah.
my, that's my situation.
Send me the firefighter with third-degree burns.
Being demisexual or whatever is not going to help you identify the fact that I have burns.
I'm
Yeah.
a tiny white woman. If I see a bunch of tiny white women come, I'm going to be like, no, where are the men?
You say that, but the reverse does happen, right? There are stories out there of people going like, was it Laura Loomer? Right? It took me forever to get to where I needed to be because I was in New York and I couldn't get a white cab driver. Like, she refused to get into a cab with the minority because they didn't look like her.
Well, that's dumb.
Yeah,
It
that's
is dumb, but it's the inverse of what you're talking
It's
about.
still dumb both
It's
ways.
still dumb.
I feel
You're
like
right.
she's just being performatively ridiculous, this Laura Loomer
Yeah,
person. I
probably.
feel like that's not like, oh my God, that happens all the time.
Or she's racist.
She's absolutely
Yeah.
racist.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
but
also a thing.
performatively racist.
But either way, it's dumb. It's dumb both ways. To insist that somebody who's going to do a job be some category instead of able to do the job is
I get it.
just stupid.
You're right. And again, but I've also defended DEI in the past,
And I disagree.
and I'll still defend it here because if you could still do the job, right? The history is that the marginalized groups, even though they could do the job, were passed over because of racism.
But a thing like this, okay, so if there's a fire and Bonnie is going to be a firefighter and you are passed out because of smoke inhalation, she cannot get you out of the fire.
I get it, but now we're back to like, can you do the job?
Right, and that's
Right.
not what they're hiring for, though. They're hiring for optics.
Possibly, but it depends if they can do the job.
She said in that interview, like, you shouldn't have lit yourself on fire, basically.
I got it.
And she
but
also said, well, you want us to look like.
Yeah,
But you
want us
can
to
you
like
can be
you.
a bull-dyked lesbian and a good firefighter.
Yes.
And like 20 years ago, you wouldn't have gotten the job
You
because you're
can't.
not a
And
white male.
I just think like
and
not
now you can
everyone
get the
deserves
job.
every single
Yes.
job. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't really hurt my feelings. Like, oh no, she wants that one specific job. It's like, well, if it was a free market, she could like start her own business doing the thing. But no, it's
Yes.
like it's just a problem of the fact that we have monopolized things like firefighting.
But it's also a problem that exists from previous racism and discrimination.
Yes.
I
But
also think we're just like over it.
The white males like brought this upon themselves by passing over the high quality candidates in order to hire other white males.
I don't
Yes,
really
but
think it
there
would
are
even be
certain-
like white specifically. Like there'd be all kinds of races, but mostly men, mostly young men who like to work out would be like the type of people that would be the best for that job.
certain things, like having to carry people up and down the stairs, are going to have more opportunities for men because
Yes.
women are not as strong as men.
Understood.
And so it just doesn't make sense to say that we need to hire women
I got it.
firefighters and,
if
not
you
these
and
men
if you
who
have
are
the
qualified.
test, if you have the test
Mm-hmm.
and the woman passes the test, and they go like, well, still a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we're going to take this guy who scored lower than you because he's a male.
But
Well,
I don't
maybe
think that's
then
what
it's
happened,
because
though.
of brains.
That's what happened in the past.
I don't
Yeah,
think
but
it would
maybe
happen now.
maybe they didn't want to
And I
have
don't
some
think they need
woman
it
in the
anymore.
office who was like these firefighters, like a dated one. You have to like live together. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they just like would say, yeah, there's these two people that are equally able to pull somebody out of a fire, but we're gonna go with the man because we don't want to have to live with some woman who's gonna start saying we need a daycare and they need to stop talking like that.
Or that lady cop who slept with the entire department
Yeah.
caused a big...
we
drama.
don't want that drama.
And again,
there's
she's
nothing
the
wrong with that.
she's the drama, not like the 5 other cops that were doing it.
Why,
Right.
they're all the drama.
No, she's the
But
only
the thing
part of
is,
the
like,
drama.
they
Everyone remembers the chick. No one remembers the 5 cops that
She
trained
did
her.
something
I don't
really
remember any
gross,
of them. I
so
just remember it happened.
I don't
Okay.
really care
I don't know her
that like she got the most of the blame because she was the one being more weirdly gross for her gender.
Maybe.
Nah,
you
they're-
have no.
She's like the
They're all
outlier.
gross.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, he's gross too, or they are gross too. But it's like more
as
okay.
if she
Who
was the
cares? They
only
do
one
that.
they were banging.
603-283-6160. More coming up.
Some of you have wanted to support Free Talk Live's mission on a monthly basis, but don't want to support Patreon. Now we have an alternative that also helps our premier streaming platform, Odyssey. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join at the top of the channel. You can subscribe for $5 per month, and unlike other subscription services, Odyssey adds their processing fee on top, so it'll cost a little over $5 per month, but Free Talk Live will receive the entire amount you pledged. Higher donation tiers are available if you're feeling so inspired. You'll get a special membership badge that's visible in the Odyssey chat room, and if we get enough supporters, we may enable members-only chat. This new subscription method is a great way to decentralize our direct listener support away from just Patreon and also support a libertarian-run business, Odyssey. Please visit video.freetalklive.com and click join to subscribe to our Odyssey channel and help support spreading our message around the planet. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click join today.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Stuart Smith. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that some 4,000 North Korean soldiers have been killed or wounded while fighting alongside Russian troops against Ukraine. He added that Russia, turning to North Korea, shows the weakness of President Vladimir Putin. It comes after the incoming US President, Donald Trump, said the Russian leader wanted to meet him and that they were setting something up. Rebecca Bunden reports.
Zelensky made the comments while addressing an international conference at a US base in Western Germany, which brought together delegates from Europe and the US. He was referring to North Korean soldiers fighting in the western Russian region of Kursk, where Ukraine's military has been launching a cross-border incursion, saying that thousands of North Korean soldiers have been killed or injured so far. This comes as there are growing concerns among Western countries about Russia's strengthening relationship with North Korea, and after North Korea earlier this week launched a missile test which it said was a new hypersonic intermediate range missile designed to strike remote targets in the Pacific.
A blanket of fog has reduced visibility to 0 meters in India's capital, New Delhi, disrupting flight and railway operations. Perpetual smog, coupled with cold conditions, are making matters worse for the city's millions of residents, as Ishan Gurg tells us from New Delhi.
In the early hours of Friday, the country's biggest airport, the IGI, based in New Delhi, had to issue an advisory saying flight services have been disrupted due to poor visibility. Some 150 flights have either been cancelled or rescheduled as visibility dropped to 0 meters on Friday. Some 24 trains have also been cancelled, while numerous others are delayed by as much as 12 hours. Experts say the seasonal smog, coupled with local weather conditions, is leading to an extended period of severe fog that could persist for the next 7 days. Officials have reimposed some of the strictest anti-pollution measures just a day after relaxing ban on polluting vehicles and construction work. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
Senior officials of the European Union say they are committed to strengthening ties with the United States. This comes in a week where incoming President Donald Trump threatened Denmark if he did not give Greenland to the United States. William Denslow reports from Brussels.
In matching social media posts, both European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Council President Antonio Costa said they look forward to positive engagement with the incoming US administration. But the two added that the EU will always protect its citizens and integrity of its freedoms. This comes as Denmark's Prime Minister said that the autonomous territory of Greenland is not for sale. Donald Trump has threatened tariffs if Denmark doesn't comply. One EU official says this all remains strictly hypothetical and urges the reaction to be dialed down. William Denslow, Brussels.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. Call in, get on the air with us, and talk about what's on your mind.
Quick, find the right page.
Yeah. Are you tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites? Our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, Linux, and... oh, that's it. Social.freetalklive.com. And any others, maybe.
Not BSD.
I have no idea what that means.
Okay. It's for the nerds out there.
BSD?
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't remember what it stands for, but it's another operating system parallel to Linux.
Never heard of it.
Okay. It's like OpenBSD and FreeBSD. Talk to your nerd friends.
Tell me about BSD, Richie.
Oh, snap.
So I have this story about the California fire business.
Bidnass.
Yeah, thing that's going on. It says California utilizing hundreds of inmates to fight ongoing LA fires.
Oh, that makes a lot of
That's
sense.
not news.
You know what Ian
That
had to
is
do
news.
today and the other prisoners? Wipe the snow off of the guards' cars.
What?
I was like, why would they? They can't do that. You should say no. And he was like, well, that would be a refusal, and then you could go to the shoe.
That's so terrible. So, I mean,
crazy
it's
people.
not news to us that they use slave labor, but it's news to maybe somebody who tunes in that doesn't know that prisons use slave labor.
Okay.
Still.
I mean, fine, but that was like a big, this prison slave labor issue, not necessarily the firefighter side of things, was like big when Kamala Harris was like running for president.
I think
Right? She was the attorney general that held prisoners.
Well, maybe
past
people
their
will
term.
care. You know, maybe people will care now
Oh,
because they heard about it and they're like, la la la, not listening right now. And then maybe
Well,
they'll
then
care now.
Just read about the
Also-
last year's California wildfires where they used prison labor then.
Yeah. Also, and like having them pick up trash from like the roadside is a lot less high risk than having them go fight fires. Also, too. So like,
Are they
it's
trained?
not only
You want
slave
fit
labor.
men to do the work or you want DEI hires? You guys got to pick one here.
I want non-slave labor fit men to
Okay.
do the work
And the other thing
and
is,
then pose for calendars.
Okay.
are
Well,
they
I mean-
like doing a not as good job because they're not firefighters and didn't get actually trained? You know, like they might be like doing bad by the homeowners.
So they're using incarcerated firefighters to do the firefighting.
How many are there? Like a ton of incarcerated firefighters?
Over 900 is what it
Yeah.
says.
Well, I mean, it's a wildfire. So like they hold the fire line and they're just there
Well, and they're
putting it out.
firefighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just saying, like, wow, that's a lot of, I don't know. Seems like a lot of people to be incarcerated who happen to be firefighters. Like, oh, there's 900.
No.
I mean, it's California. They have a lot of prisoners.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever like watered flowers, but you just point the water in the direction of the fire and hold it.
I mean, but
I don't
these guys are firefighters. It says, as of
Okay.
today, 939 fire camp firefighters have been working around the clock, cutting fire lines and removing fuel from behind structures to slow fire spread,
See?
including 110 support staff.
And those are all prisoners?
They're all prisoners.
Okay.
It says, though California has been utilizing incarcerated firefighters and other laborers for over 100 years, the practice is controversial and has been banned in Colorado, Vermont, Nebraska, Utah, Alabama, Oregon, and Tennessee in recent years, which I feel like it definitely should be. Like, they're not slaves. That's what it is. It's slave labor.
I mean,
It's compelled to do these things.
you're not wrong, but slave labor is constitutionally approved in this circumstance. Like, this is the one circumstance where you can have slaves constitutionally.
Yes, but it's wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Constitution's wrong.
I'm
Because
fine
And
with-
a lot of people don't even know that. That's like you know, lowest level part
Well,
of this conversation, but
then
some people don't even
Good,
know.
they're listening and tuning in.
Right.
Yeah.
But if they're incarcerated and firefighters, the likelihood is that they've chosen to go into firefighter training, maybe as a vocational thing for when they get released. And then part of that training, like the payment for your education, is, hey, you're going to go have to fight California wildfires because that's what we're training you for.
Or they're just firefighters who are incarcerated.
That seems way unlikely.
Maybe. I mean, firefighters.
That's why I was like 900. I don't know.
Firefighters have a much higher incidence of arson than like the typical person.
Okay.
They also
Becoming
actually have
arsonists.
like you would think, well, they'd be buddy with the cops, but they have like a serious rivalry.
Yeah. Give out the phone number in case someone wants to like fill us in on who these people really are.
603-283-6160.
They're also probably getting not paid much.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, no, they get paid like $5 a day or whatever. But again, like if it's when you're in prison and they go, like, well, you got to get a prison job, and they went, yeah, I'll be a firefighter. I'll get that training.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to kitchen
sounds like that's
or
probably what it
janitor
is.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Then like, yeah, you're sure we can call it slave labor from the outside, but it's not like they're going like, hey, you bunk 3B, right? Get out there and fight this fire.
Like they literally do to Ian.
So my problem is that there are people who are innocent in prison. If you want to say that, yeah, sure, we can use prisoners as slaves, then you have to make sure that nobody is ever imprisoned who is innocent. Which
I'm
is
not making
a
that
thing.
case. I'm
No,
saying
for the Constitution.
I'm saying they probably had a sign-up sheet on like what vocation you want to get while you're in prison, or what prison job you want to get if you're allowed to get a prison job. And the likelihood is that these 900 people all check the box that said
I think you're probably
firefighter
right, because
training.
like I always just, it seems like 900, even in California, it seems like what kind of crazy firefighters do they have there? They're like constantly getting in trouble.
That too.
But it still doesn't make it just like right that there are these people who really, they just like checked a box that what sounded the least boring or whatever, and sometimes they don't get to check the box. Sometimes they get told and even threatened, or not this year, but sometimes you get threatened if you don't want to take a specific job or whatever.
Okay.
And the prisoners, the guards are like, well, we need somebody who's going to join the firefighters, so do it, or we'll put you in the chute for no reason,
Okay.
threaten them. And
That's what I want clarity on, if you have it.
that's
So-
definitely a thing.
So even if they were like, yeah, sure, we'll do firefighting as our, slave labor, it's still slave labor. Like they still have to choose a thing
I
that
understand.
they're going to do.
And if that's where you want to have the debate, we can have that debate too. But that's not my overall point. My overall point is that all the prison labor is going to be slave labor, and they likely chose which branch they wanted to participate in.
Yeah, and I was saying that prison labor should not exist.
Ian wrote it
Okay.
out for as long as he could, like with them, just like they hadn't asked him yet, so he didn't like volunteer for a job. But then
Yeah.
one day they just approached like, okay, you got to pick a job, and we're putting you at this, and he got warehouse at first, which he didn't want. But now he's actually like teaching people to get their GEDs, which is so much better. I don't know if the
that's
callers
good.
knew that. I mean, the listeners.
Well, this says Californians had the option to do away with prison labor when voting on Proposition 6 in November, which would have amended the state constitution to bar state prisons from forcing inmates to work. Jurists stated, noting that prisoners who refuse to work may legally face disciplinary consequences. The ballot measure was rejected by a margin of 53.8 to 46.2.
And good thing, because they would have had 900 less people putting out these wildfires.
I mean, they could have just hired more people in the beginning
If
instead
you're-
of depending upon prison slave labor.
And like, there's tons of volunteers too. People come out of the woodworks. It's like kind of fun.
I don't know about fun. I mean,
I don't know
Yeah,
about
I don't
this
think that
exact
would be fun.
situation, but in
Okay.
Utah, there's like wildfires, and people do sign up because it's kind of like fun, especially for like men, I guess.
all right.
I think that those are like people with like, hero complexes. They want to be a hero.
I had a friend that worked for BLM, but not Black Lives Matter, and what she did was go and try to find out what started a wildfire, and that actually did sound fun, but putting it out, not that fun.
What is that called? I was trying.
Bureau of Land Management?
No. Like
Oh.
when you're doing that, is it like still forensics? Is it like fire forensics? What is that called?
That
I was
sounds
talking
right.
about it the other day, and I was like, is that
I have no idea.
Fire investigator.
something, some type of investigative position? We do have a call on the line, so we're going to go to somebody in Philadelphia. Hi.
It's not slave labor. Those are the rules. And the owner
So
of
stupid.
any property should be able to set any rule he wants. That's part of freedom.
Sorry,
That's
Riley, it's
stupid.
not slave labor. You're in my house, so start doing my dishes.
That's right. That's a stupid
Exactly.
position, Skeeter.
But,
Exactly. Skeeter just said exactly.
I wanted.
I
to
might be with
talk
Skeeter on that one, because
about,
that could be a condition on sitting in your house.
yeah, but if
but
I
then
don't
she
allow
goes-
him to leave,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
if I'm
you don't-
blocking him
the
from
door, and
Yeah, I
she's
know.
like, "You're in my house now.
Yeah.
I own
them's
you."
the
There you
rules,
go.
Riley.
Everyone,
It's ridiculous.
everyone has a chance to leave. They can renounce, and I'm willing
could just
to
escape
pay
You don't
the
have the
penalty.
chance to leave
And
in
no
prison,
one's picking me up
stupid.
on my offer. But I wanted to talk about
It's because
the real
we've
cause
rebutted it
of
several
all-
times, and you don't accept the rebuttal.
Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't accept it. That's like exactly what happens.
No, I always
No.
disprove you, but I'd like to talk about that some other time. I want to talk about the real causes of all this.
That wasn't what he
damage
really
of
wanted to talk
of
about.
The California
Never is.
wild.
Okay,
I wanted
what's
to talk
what's
about
the real
causes
cause?
of all the damages of the fires here in California. But first, aren't you going to ask
I
if
thought
I'm
you're in
okay?
Philadelphia or Pennsylvania.
Oh, I forgot that you're not in California. I mean that you are. So my
I
bad.
evacuated.
Really?
I evacuated two days ago.
Whoa.
I'm in Philadelphia now, watching the Eagles game.
No, you're not. Is your mom's house on fire though?
No, I'm
Just as long as the basement doesn't
is
burn.
fireproof. So I'm safe and moist.
Ew.
This is not what I really want to talk about, right?
Okay, anyway,
I wanna
talk about what you
the
wanna
real
talk about.
causes of all. It's not DEI. It's not the mismanagement of my hero, Gavin Awesome, right? It's not democracy. It's insurance. And you can see
That's
that
insane.
these structures.
It's not the problem. Well, it's definitely a component of the overall problem.
It's the biggest component. It just like restitution, it causes moral hazard, right? When you have structures that guarantee things. Oh, by the way, do you think the firemen have a duty to protect your home? No, stupid. But anyways, let's get back to insurance, right?
I think if you monopolize, if you monopolize the only means of putting out fires, and you tell people you will put out fires if it happens in their house, and then you're like, actually, I'm just not going to do it. That's pretty crappy.
That celebrities were hiring.
Well, that's the
you
rules.
had that.
I did have it.
Celebrities are hiring
like other
private
fire departments. So,
well, insurance caused them.
Maybe not in California.
Caused them to take unnecessary risks by building expensive houses there.
Of course.
That's what insurance does.
But you're missing.
It amplifies the damages tenfold.
You're partially right.
Instead of maybe a few billion.
Yeah, because like people would just not live in Los Angeles otherwise, because they'd be like, I'm scared a fire's going to start in the middle of Los Angeles, and there are fire departments there.
It's not in the middle of Los Angeles.
It's partially the insurance, but it's government mandated insurance. Right? Like the government says you have to have insurance, or the insurance must cover you.
That's part of the problem with insurance.
No, that's a government problem. Because what happened in this case is California changed the rules. California changed the rules for the insurance companies, and a whole bunch of insurance companies left California because it was no longer profitable for them to cover the houses that were about to burn.
That doesn't explain all of it.
I didn't say it explained all of it. I said you were partially right, and then I expanded it to cover the actual problem, Skeeter.
I just think it's stupid to think like no one would put a nice house in this beautiful area with like really nice weather next to the beach without insurance existing.
Right? You see why?
That's Skeeter's point.
I said that's not true. That's not true. That I would never build a house here. Oh, you give me insurance, now I will. Like people would live there still.
It's called marginal analysis, Bonnie. Yeah. Instead of one person doing it without insurance, with insurance, now you have millions.
Yep, just one person would live in Los Angeles if insurance didn't exist.
I'm just putting, I'm just showing you the amplification. But
I'm pretty sure like a very similar amount would still live there. Like I don't even hear anybody talk about that when they talk about like wanting to move to Los Angeles. Most people aren't considering fires starting in the middle of Los Angeles, and fire departments exist. The other thing is you could say, well, fire departments existing create moral hazard because people will live there, and they'll say, well, fire departments exist. That literally comes to my mind before insurance.
Insurance and
it happens in Hawaii too.
Restitution policies. So let me talk about why insurance is so unstable, right?
It's not even like I'm like it's 0% true. It's just like it's so like stupidly one track minded. It's like the problem is that the place is on fire and they don't have enough water. That's like a bigger problem right now.
Insurance is inherently unstable, just like fractional reserve systems, just like democracy. That's why government has to mandate insurance is because of adverse selection.
Everything doesn't have to be like stable. Like I don't think that's like some kind of big problem.
That's
if people understand how it works and want to join it, who cares? It's such a boring conversation.
No. Do you understand? Do you understand adverse selection? The only people willing to join are the most riskiest.
That's so stupid. The most riskiest people in the whole world, most riskiest, live in Los Angeles. That's so stupid.
That's how gambling works, Bonnie.
That's so stupid. That's not how it works.
Look to gain when they enter a contract, right? So only the riskiest.
There's something to risk about every single place you could live.
Will get into your policy if there isn't a mandate. That's the problem with it. That's why insurance is inherently unstable. Not only that, it causes moral hazard, and not only that, it's sunk cost fallacy, right? It causes everybody not only to be take on more risk than they should.
I think you have to prove that like way fewer people would live in Los Angeles without insurance to even make a point, and it's like whatever. Such a boring, stupid point to call into a radio show about.
Now that you'll see insurance run away from this part of California, you'll see how many people are willing to build there.
Okay.
And you'll actually see the difference.
Bye Los Angeles. It's over now.
Right.
Again, Skeeter's partially right.
I didn't even
doesn't have
say
the
he
whole
wasn't.
story.
It's like
Okay.
such a stupid one-track minded, like I don't even get the point of like caring enough to talk about this.
Well, the moral hazard aspect of it is absolutely true, and that happens in Hawaii as well.
So you just don't think people would live in Los Angeles without
No, I
what
think
restitution does,
depends. Right? It's not that people won't live in Los Angeles. It's that it's inherently more risky to build a $5 million house that could possibly burn down if you can't get insurance.
and you put a $5 million house
rich
in
body.
somewhere like not Santa Fe, like the places with lots of snow, and the snow ruins your house somehow, ruins the roof, and then you have to move out. Floods
No.
in Hawaii. It's like, who cares? There's something that
No,
could
it's
happen to you anywhere.
volcanoes in Hawaii.
Oh, I said Hawaii. I meant to say
they build
Florida.
next to they build next to active volcanoes.
Yep.
Because the state mandates insurance cover it.
No one would live
And
in
the-
such a beautiful place without insurance. I
They
just think
wouldn't-
it's like, what's the point? Like,
They
who
wouldn't-
cares?
They wouldn't live next to a
They
volcano.
wouldn't live next to an
They
active
probably
volcano.
would. There would be this area where people could live and want to live right now.
Yes.
And
it
they
would
probably
be
still
it
would.
it would be inherently more risky.
And what's wrong with people being risky? Like, it's like,
Nothing.
it's not exactly. That's like the main thing that he's getting at. It's like once
No.
I push him into a corner, all he can say is, it's because it's the most riskiest people,
But that's
Bonnie.
what- but he's right.
Who cares?
But
Yeah,
but
that's
the
what I'm
most,
saying.
but you'll lose people along the way.
What?
You'll lose people along the way.
Because people will die?
No, because only the most risky people will buy those properties.
And what's
Right.
wrong with that?
Nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Who cares? Like, let risky people be risky. I just don't know what is his actual point? Like, all he could say.
Insurance causes moral hazard.
Well, who cares? Like, good. They have a little extra reason to be able to do the thing they dream to do. I don't care.
Okay.
I just think
it's fine
and
that
I'm
you
not
don't
like,
care, but again, he's partially right.
It's not about
it's a
being
part
right
of
or
the
wrong.
story.
He's just saying a thing, and it's like, okay. He's not right. It's not what caused the fires.
You're
That's
right.
stupid.
It didn't cause the fires,
Right.
but it impacted the amount of damage that has been done to human built structures.
And
Because
they
people have
shouldn't
built
exist.
it in fire zones.
Because people have built it in fire zones on the premise that it will be covered by the insurance companies should something bad happen, right? And if you didn't have insurance, you're less likely to take that risk. And yes, some people will take the risk.
Oh no,
and
they
those
didn't
are
get
the
to
most-
live in their
and
$5
those
million
are the
homes
riskier
for
people.
30 years. It's so sad.
Okay.
Only 30 years. Like, who cares? All I'm saying is, like, this is like such a stupid conversation.
Okay. I mean, you're fair to have that opinion, but the insurance and the moral hazard is a part of the damage that's been done.
I think it's good that people are able to do things that they dream of doing, and that's the thing. That's why I'm kind of asking him is like, do you think it's like a bad
No,
thing
you're not
you're not.
muted, Skeeter.
that people are able to like pull money together and do a thing that they want to do that they probably wouldn't be able to do otherwise?
It's like a parachute, Bonnie. It's
What?
Like a parachute, Bonnie.
So my
I don't
only
even know what
problem
he
with
said.
it would be like state mandated
you know how many more
insurance.
That's
Yeah,
the
that
problem.
is a different thing.
And he's not addressing that part of it.
Right, that's the problem with it. It's not that insurance exists; it's that
Yeah.
state mandated insurance.
And the worst part
Did you
about that is
understand
just that
adverse
poor
selection?
people are getting robbed.
You need a mandate because the insurance schemes inherently collapse because of adverse selection.
Okay,
You
that
need
is
you
now you're getting
need
to a point.
force
Now you're getting
even
to a
though-
point that like makes sense about like why you're talking about this at all. So you're saying like the problem is you said you don't care that it was government mandating it, so that's not your point. It's actually Richie Rich's point. Now you're pretending it was your point all along. But what Richie Rich is saying and now you're agreeing with is, well, it's a problem because people who don't want to be in the system are in the system and they're like the bottom of the pyramid, holding up the top of the pyramid for the $5 million house people. That sounds like something more interesting to consider, but not anything Skeeter has ever said.
Oh, the adverse selection, Bonnie. That's why inherent.
Oh my god,
that's
he's
why
so smart. He
insurance
just
is
like says the same
insurance.
thing over and over again.
Just
And,
like-
and if he like knows
just
the
like
name of something
restitution,
from a
right?
textbook, he's so freaking smart.
all of these principles that collapse insurance will also collapse any restoration policy like restitution. You cannot have any of these restitution policies in an economy. It inherently collapses, right? You're going to have to force everybody to participate. And by doing so, you'll cause a lot of inefficiency.
I don't think you have to force
There's some
anybody
cost
to
fallacy and
be in
moral
a
hazard.
restitution system. Like if I voluntarily joined a system where if I hurt somebody, then I'd get restitution, and the thing that was holding that up and making me incentivized to join was that other people around me joined it, and we could have like stickers on our cars and know to not deal with the people who didn't join that system. There's nothing wrong with that.
Let's have just pause for a minute. Pause for a minute, Skeeter. I mean, you don't have to mute him, but pause for a minute, because I have a serious question for anybody involved, even the listeners, because I've given this a little bit of thought based on previous things that we've said here. What's that?
That's why I was going to mute him, because he can't hold himself.
So I've advocated for a system of restitutive justice, right? And I've said that you ought not be held in jail, in prison, unless you're a danger to society, because it's a double tax on the victims, right? Mm-hmm. We go, okay. So what happens in this case if the fires are deemed to have been started by an arsonist, and they capture the arsonist, and now he is on the hook for like $200 million of damages?
Yeah, but he would never be able to pay that.
He would never be able to pay it back. So, like, what do you do?
Cop windows, isn't he?
What would you do?
I don't know. That's my question. If I'm advocating,
you
like,
could steal
I need help
from
with
him.
this.
You could steal from him, but if he doesn't have anything,
he's not going to have anything. He's like an ANCOM, whatever.
Yeah, say he doesn't have
climate
anything
change guy.
for the
You can't put him in prison because it's still the double tax problem. No,
you're just boring and don't make any points that anyone cares to talk to you about.
See, in a conversation, other people also get to talk. So that's what we're doing. We're all talking.
But unless he's a threat to society to cause more damage, you don't put him in prison. He's got to pay back $200 million.
It's better to pay out some part. You know, like
it's a threat to society if he's burning down people's houses.
Let's say he had that. Let's just say he had the money to pay for it. Who's going to force him to pay it?
The people whose houses were burned down.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay to force him to pay it? Let's say he's a billionaire who has a lot of resources and tanks. Who's going to force him to pay it?
The Taliban.
Okay.
I don't care.
So why don't you force the government to pay Ian restitution? Who's going to pay that?
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah. I would love to. There's not enough support for my tactics.
This is why ANCAPs are so detached from the market. They don't understand demand, right? Demand is not only the desire.
I don't think that you made any kind of point that's like, oh, Richie Rich, nothing you said makes sense now because you said, what if he was Jeff Bezos and he tore down a house or whatever?
Getting what I'm saying.
No, I mean, right? I asked the question. I don't think you answered my question. It's a general question.
What if another thing? What if something totally else?
If he's Jeff Bezos and he can afford to pay,
yes.
Well, then somehow, right? You put your collective army against his collective army, and if his army is just
like if he's burning down houses, how many people are going to use Amazon anymore?
Right. Well, and is his army really going to protect him? Like, is that the kind of customer they want to have, no matter how much money he has?
Maybe their house is burned down too.
And the other thing is, like, say he's poor and you can only make him work. Well, I'd rather get $40,000 back, even if I was owed $1 million, than zero, and I'm paying to keep him in a prison.
Still not full justice, though.
No,
it's not. No, but
603-283-6160. Free Talk Live. More coming up.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Tired of the ever-inflating US dollar? You can live your life on Dash instead with some handy websites. BitRefill.com has been accepting Dash for years and has a ton of big-name retailers and brands including grocers, gas stations, phone refills, Amazon, and even prepaid MasterCards. Plus, many of their gift cards are available at a discount. But what about paying your bills? Spritz.finance can do that, and they can send dollars to your bank account in case you still need those for some reason. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at Dash.org. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit Dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Sally Patterson. At least 16 people are dead and many others are missing as fires continue to tear through California. The state's governor said on Sunday the fires are likely to be the worst natural disaster in U.S. history in terms of the costs associated with them. Red flag warnings, which mark critical fire weather conditions, have been issued through Wednesday for portions of Los Angeles. Newsom says he will be deploying another 1,000 members of California's National Guard. That brings a total to 2,500. Other nations have committed to sending their own fighters to help battle the blazes, including Canada and Ukraine. Around 105,000 people remain under mandatory evacuation orders, and more than 8 million people are in a fire risk zone. Dozens of people are facing a variety of charges related to the fires. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna says they've encountered several people taking advantage of the chaos to burglarize homes. Officials are warning residents not to begin returning home until it's safe to do so. Here's Kristen Crowley, the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department.
There are still active fires that are burning within the Palisades area, making it extremely, extremely dangerous for the public. There's no power, there's no water, there's broken gas lines, and we have unstable structures. The first responders are working as quickly as possible to ensure that it is safe for you to return into your communities. Canine search teams have been deployed to assist with our recovery efforts.
Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump slammed the response on Sunday, calling California officials, quote, incompetent. Donald Trump took to social media, writing that the incompetent politicians have no idea how to put them out. He called on the governor to resign. Newsom, however, had reached out to Donald Trump on Friday, inviting him to come and see the damage firsthand and meet first responders. Newsom told media on Sunday he hadn't yet received a response. He's also condemned misinformation being spread by the president-elect. That included allegations he'd refused to sign necessary water declarations and he'd redirected water to save fish rather than Californian residents. And Ukraine's president says he will hand over captured soldiers from North Korea in exchange for Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia. Ukraine said on Saturday it had captured 2 prisoners of war who were injured. Volodymyr Zelensky said they were captured on January 9th, and this was not an easy task. Zelensky said they were being treated with medical care. And an explosion in Yemen has killed 15 people and left many others injured. The blast took place at a fuel station, according to the country's health ministry. From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
The bagpipe industry is hitting back at a new survey that suggests time may be up for the historic Scottish instrument. New figures show that in 2024, bagpipes were among the bottom 5 instruments purchased. With sales so low, they should now be considered critically endangered.
It's just not true. It's been badly researched and it's misinformed.
Finlay MacDonald is the director of the National Piping Centre in Glasgow.
Piping is more popular now than it's ever been. The stats on the particular story we're talking about were taken from an online website which don't sell bagpipes. I've spoken to 3 of the biggest bagpipe producers in Scotland, and they've sold more pipes this year than they have in any other year. Likewise, we have at the National Piping Centre. There are huge piping scenes in Canada, in America, New Zealand, Australia, all over Europe, the Middle East. If you actually go to the bagpipe makers who are selling these instruments and the pipes and the retailers that are selling it, the numbers are actually buoyant.
He says that the National Piping Centre's videos are securing millions of views on social media, and that piping itself is a healthy pursuit because it takes so much puff to play the instrument. Rumours of the pipe's demise, he insists, are grossly overstated. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories, at least 16 people are dead and many others are missing as fires continue to tear through California. The US President-elect Donald Trump has slammed the response to the fires, calling California officials, quote, incompetent. And Ukraine's president says he will hand over captured soldiers from North Korea in exchange for Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia. That's the latest feature story news. Sally Patterson reporting.
Everyone in Pennington is talking about it. Something smells like weed in that back part of the library. Head librarian Cookie Stevens and library volunteers Margaret Mosier and Gail Fredericks were in the middle of discussing the upcoming used book sale-a-ganza when they smelled something strange.
So Doug smelled marijuana somewhere, and we're like shocked. Yeah. And so Doug goes, "Do you smell it?"
Without any way to confirm that the smell was indeed weed, Cookie Stevens called her husband Sheriff Stevens, who called in local ceramics teacher Dutch Gibbs, who lived in Seattle for a few months in the 70s.
Yeah, that's weed.
Sheriff Stevens has begun compiling a list of potential suspects, including that boy Lance, who has girl hair and hangs out down by the quarry, Greg Fromke, who was spotted this evening really going to town on some potato skins at Steaky Jake's Steakhouse, and Mr. Thompson. Luckily, one young reading enthusiast seemed unperturbed by the illicit smell.
Yeah, I don't smell anything. I really love the library.
The weed smell comes on the heels of last month's discovery of a gigantic pair of women's underpants in the children's fiction section. According to Stevens, that case remains open as well.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Call in at 603-283-6160. In the studio is Lori,
Bonnie,
and Rich.
And we were talking about the California wildfires and things that have contributed to it, possibly from not having firefighters, not having water because of fish or
to save the pond smelt.
They also did a bunch of budget cuts.
Here's my problem with California not having water. They're coastal.
Yes.
They have an abundance of water.
Yes. So here's the thing, is ocean water is, if 4 gallons of ocean water is 1 pound of salt. So if you pour, massive amounts of ocean water onto the land, you are literally salting the earth, and then nothing can grow. All the animals there die.
Okay.
So you can't you could mass scale do that, but the environment will take many years to bounce back after doing that.
I was going to ask if salt catches on fire.
So now you have to decide whether or not the earth or people's houses are more important.
Ooh, that's a good question for the environmentalists who live in Beverly Hills.
I think that the earth is more important than people's houses.
Okay. Well, but
because you can't just go buy another earth.
California also does this when it comes to drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
And I go well, no. They don't. It's still not a water issue because they're coastal.
Right.
But the thing is, I heard
potability issue.
It's that taking the salt out is possible, but way more expensive than just bringing it in from other states. Apparently,
desalination plants are really expensive.
Okay.
And they have to be constantly maintained because the salt corrodes the metal and things.
Yeah, but markets take care of that through the pricing mechanism.
It probably could in a real free market.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I've thought about that too. I'm like, how is it possibly more expensive than shipping in water, fresh water from other states?
Well, and again, if you don't do the research and you don't build the facilities, right, then you'll never get to a break-even point where, we've got this pretty much down pat and can do it on a regular basis. And
it seems so crazy to decide to live there.
And they did use some ocean water. They did have planes go get some ocean water and put it on some places, but just doing it on, it was 396 acres or something like that. The last time I looked. It would have so much water that you would have it would be
the
oversaturation of
first
salt.
layer of houses then.
Yeah.
Let's salt the first layer of houses and insulate the rest in the middle.
There are so many things that they did wrong. So many things went wrong in this whole situation that just led to the largest fire ever. I saw a thing that talked about the Great Chicago Fire and how big that was compared to the one in California. And the Great Chicago Fire was 30 something acres, I think, maybe.
Okay.
And this is like 390 something acres,
Yeah.
which is a huge difference.
I'm just saying, all that coastline, you're not short on water.
No,
you're short on like the water, the useful water.
Yeah.
But that's a market function, right? How much is it going to cost to make it safe for firefighters or for drinking?
Right.
Right. Who's willing to pay?
Right.
Right. Maybe the Kardashians, who use up like 180 something gallons, 80,000 gallons a month.
That's insane.
Right. It's insane, but like maybe they can afford more.
Is that a real number or that a joke?
I didn't make it up. They, during like one of the last droughts, they were like rationing water. Like, okay, you guys can use like 10 or 20 gallons, and the Kardashians were like way over that. And then
What do they do if you use more than you're supposed to? Fine you?
I don't know. Well, I guess.
And they were like, who cares?
Right.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But even like the Nestle guy, right? He's like, no, your water isn't a human right. We want to buy the water, and he gets the water rights, and he's partially right. It's not a human right. You don't naturally get access to water. You got to find it. And someone's got to provide it for you.
I mean, if you find water, then you naturally have access to it.
Yeah, maybe. Unless you find it on my property.
In the Kardashians' defense, I bet it was all Caitlyn Jenner.
Okay.
I don't know
always
anything.
doing careless things like hitting people with his car or her car.
Either way, like the market has a function for that, and if there's a shortage, the price goes up. And maybe that even if they can afford it, they go like, well, maybe $1,000 a gallon, I won't use that much anymore, and it'll naturally hit the market equilibrium.
I can't imagine using that much water. What would you even use that much water for?
Well, they have a bunch of like house servants,
Watering the plants.
Like
a million
just a waterfall
pets.
in your living room?
Yeah, why not?
That's insane.
Whatever.
I'd be such a boring rich person. I would not have that kind of
No,
stuff.
you would buy up to your expectations.
I would live in the middle of nowhere with no people around me.
Yeah, you can say that. You're like, you know what my middle of nowhere needs? A landing strip for my private jet.
No, because I'd never fly.
Okay.
So I would be boring.
You're like not thinking about the fact that the Kardashians are also like super like socialites and in a level I think most people would never even come near. Like, I don't want that much socialization. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I
I'd go
understand.
insane.
I'd be in the middle of nowhere too, but there'd be a lot of toys.
Right? Yeah, I'd have fun stuff. But
I wouldn't have a
waterfall.
basketball hoop. I'd have a gym.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a waterfall in my living room.
Okay,
I'd
outside.
have like an open air atrium.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever.
Right.
Like
What's an atrium
I
like?
could spend $1 billion easy if I had it.
What's an atrium?
It's like a plants and birds and stuff.
Butterfly place.
Yeah.
One of those places.
Right. Just like
Yeah.
in the middle of my house. I told Stu when he built me a house, that's my only ask is I want like a courtyard in the middle. So
I
like,
love that. I
so
love
like
that.
in the middle of the house. So I don't have to leave to go hang out outside. I can just go into the middle of my house.
I
and
saw
then I'm
that
outside.
in Syria, huge part of their like typical architecture is a courthouse with a fountain in the middle, and it constantly generates like good air because of that
Yeah, and all
setup.
the plants and like
We did a house in Hawaii, and by did like we were the cleanup crew and whatever. But it was engineered around the tree, so the tree literally wove itself through the rooms
That's
of the house.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love it.
Right.
I love those kinds of things. Like the hobbit houses that are built into the ground and stuff.
Yeah.
In Ireland or somewhere.
I just
You could have that for each of the kids.
Mm.
You could build that for each of the kids, no matter the cost, because you're a billionaire. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. I would have so much land. It'd be great. But I wouldn't be using 100 and whatever, 186,000
You
gallons
would
of water.
carve a canal so you could like drive your yacht into your backyard.
Beep, beep.
Why not?
Yeah.
If you could.
Just the Kardashians' kids' birthdays are so ridiculous. It's like so much plastic because they put like 2,000 balloons.
I blame OJ.
I've never purchased a balloon like in my life for somebody,
Really?
like a balloon with helium in it. I've never bought one.
Okay.
They seem like pointless to me.
Not
It's
even for
so-
nitrous?
No. Like I've had balloons places I've been and like inhaled the helium and stuff, but like I've never purchased a balloon.
I bought
with
some
helium
for.
in it. I've bought balloons for like water balloon fights and stuff.
Okay.
But
I bought
You
it
never
for.
bought the tank of helium to fill it up?
No.
No? Okay. All right.
no.
I bought it for Thanksgiving, or not Thanksgiving, Halloween, just to annoy my friend because he's like, this is my house, don't make a mess. So we were just all blowing up balloons, and we're like, we're gonna leave them here, but we didn't.
It just seems so weird to me, like such a weird concept. Like I blew up this bag of plastic full of floaty air, and now I'm just going to look at it for the next 2 weeks while it slowly dies.
Says
never
the
did it with
lady
the
who wants an
helium.
atrium and a butterfly.
Yeah,
Those
those
are
are
awesome.
living,
Just
those
to
are
look
living
at.
things.
I would
but
have
it's
an
also
atrium.
just to look at. You're not going to interact with it.
My
I
atrium
am
would
going to
have.
interact with it. I'm going to befriend the crows, and then I'm going to
okay.
teach them to like wreak havoc for me.
I hate them now
Crows?
because of something
I
Jay
love
told me.
crows. What did he tell you?
He told me that they will go and make the Bardo Farm pigs have to be put down because when the pigs are on their periods, they're bleeding, and the crows go and like bite their vaginas, and then they get like septic and die.
That's messed up.
I was like, I hate
I didn't know
crows
pigs
now.
had periods.
Me either.
I mean,
hate
it
all
makes
that.
sense because like dogs do.
Yeah.
And cows do.
It really grossed me out, and I was like, I feel so bad for those pigs, and that's a really horrible way to die.
I really like corvids. They're smart and interesting birds.
Never heard of that.
Corvids like blue jays and
Oh,
crows
I really-
and ravens and
I really don't like blue jays anymore this year. Like I've never like really liked them because they attacked my mom when she was a kid, so I was always scared of them. And this year, me and Ian like watched birds so much. I feel like blue jays literally are the perfect colors. They are the cops. They are the ones that are like bullies, but they're also scaredy cats.
they're so
And
loud.
cardinals are the firefighters.
Maybe.
Cardinals
I
are
didn't
the
see that many of
prettiest
them. My favorite
But-
bird right now is nuthatches. So cute.
I just like them because they're really smart and like. So crows, if you are mean to a crow, like throw something at them, they'll remember your face and they'll tell the other crows, and then like all the crows will hate you and
Whoa.
like crap on your car and stuff and like.
So you got to
seek
teach the
vengeance.
pigs to go like bite crow vaginas.
Yeah, or like just
Okay.
be mean to the crows. Be mean to the crows and like avoid the whole area. You know.
That's why a group of them is a murder.
I like crows.
Okay.
And ravens, they're cool.
They are kind of pretty. The one of the ugliest birds is turkeys, and I just found out about
I
their
like turkeys.
their snoods.
Mhm.
That's the thing on their
Little
nose.
dangly thing.
Ian was saying, "Hey Bonnie, can you Google this for me sometime? Will you Google why turkeys' noses grow and point way down past their beaks whenever they fluff up their feathers?" I was like, "What? What? I've never heard of this. I thought you meant the beak grows," and I was like,
Oh, the gobbler. That's what I was called it as a kid. Like I didn't know what it's called.
It's called
the gobbler.
the snood, not to be confused with an adorable, cute doggy snoot."
Did you Google it? And what was the
Yeah.
answer?
It didn't really say. I think it's like nobody really knows why, but it's just part of their like, oh, we're attracting a mate right now, and we're gonna fluff up our feathers. But also check out this cool thing on my face that, oh, it's disgusting.
Look how ugly I am.
You know what they
want
say about a
peace?
turkey with a big snood?
Big
No.
shoes.
No,
big
yeah,
turkey
big shoes. Yes,
Shoes, big
exactly.
shoes.
That
Why
doesn't
do you
even
hate
make sense.
turkeys? Why do you hate turkeys?
I just think they're really ugly, but I don't actually really hate them because like their
If they were
feathers are so
pink, she
pretty.
would love it.
Yeah.
if they were pink.
Their feathers are so pretty, but then like their faces, and the other thing is the girls are actually kind of okay. The men are just disgusting looking.
I think they're cool.
Geese are like horrible, but they're so beautiful.
I like turkeys and vultures and all that stuff, and they remind me of the Skeksis from what movie was that?
I don't know.
The Dark Crystal.
Okay. I've seen that once.
Yeah, you know, like those bird creature things. Oh, they're cool.
It was a long time ago.
They're cool.
My mom thought a demon was in our backyard once, and she was like, "What is that?" And I turn around, and it's a vulture lifting its arms, its wings, and that was like kind of cool. But my mom thought it was a demon, so I thought it was a demon, and that was on a Thanksgiving day when I was like 5 years old. I hate them.
They're interesting. Like vultures are interesting. They are the garbage men of nature, and they clean up all these things that would poison everybody if it was just left to rot. And like they have,
I mean, like, thank you.
yeah,
But you're
they're-
creepy.
They're really cool. Like their body system can handle all of that bacteria and stuff. It's awesome how they've evolved in such a way.
Dogs are.
It's gross that they throw up as like a defense mechanism.
Ew.
But
Dogs are like so similar to vultures.
it's still cool.
Because they'll go and eat as much as something as possible, run away, throw it up and bury that, and then come back and eat it when it's like fermented.
Dogs are gross.
Yeah, but cuter,
Cuter, I guess.
less demonic.
I don't know. I'd have a vulture.
I don't know.
Like,
Depends if you're Tucker Carlson. This demonic dogs.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot about that, but I didn't actually end up
demons
breeding
attacked
it.
him in his sleep,
But they were dogs.
but it was his dogs.
We think it was his dogs.
Oh, that's funny.
Woke up with a whole bunch of scratches after sleeping with the dogs, convinced it was demons.
It must have been demons. It couldn't have been the 6 dogs in his bed.
He said there were 6 dogs in his bed.
There were 6 dogs in his bed.
What kind? Well, I don't know if you remember.
I'm sure Tucker Carlson has like big giant dogs.
Hmm.
Because
Either
he
way.
because he would be like small dogs are too feminine.
The kinds
or
with
whatever.
claws.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I sleep with Coconut every night, and he doesn't
But if you
scratch
had like
me.
6 German
But if you
shepherds
woke
in
up,
your
Yeah,
bed,
that's why I'm asking
If you
the
slept
breed.
with Coconut and woke up with scratches, would you jump to demons?
Okay, but if I woke up with scratches all over my body, kind of yeah, because
Okay.
Coconut has never scratched me all over my
he
body
just
in
has some
7
on his
years.
back, I think it was.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But
He said it
Didn't
must
want to
have been
blame the
then
hooker
if I
either.
had
Yeah.
6,
His wife was like, "What are those?" And he was like, "Can't say
Demons.
Can't say it's the dogs. She'll kill the dogs. It's demons."
you can't say it's the hookers.
Well, obviously.
It's demons, babe. That's why we're Christian.
Yeah.
That's really
We did it on. We
hard,
did that story
hard
on the
call.
show.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the Kardashians, they were part of the whole California wildfire situation. And instead of letting everything burn down, they had a different solution, which was, Richie?
I don't know if this was Kardashian specific, but
Like celebrities in general.
well, just rich people. So, LA's rich and famous hire $2,000 an hour private firefighters to protect their $1 million homes and businesses, sparking fury.
See, I didn't even know this was like a thing. I wonder if every state allows private firefighters. I thought for sure that there was a monopoly.
There was someone tweeted it. Some rich guy tweeted it. Like, hey, does anybody know like a private fire department that I can get to come protect my home? And he was, ratio is probably the wrong term, but he was like taken down, and he deleted the tweet later and got a whole bunch of backlash.
Wow.
He got bullied.
He got bullied. Yeah, that's a better term.
Because he
got-
was like, I would like to protect my belongings. And people were like, well, we're not in a position where we can protect ourselves, so you're
Right.
a bad person.
You're a bad
Stupid.
person for not using the socialized fire department, you
Uh-huh.
capitalist pig.
Wow.
LA's rich and
He's a
famous
wrecker.
are hiring $2,000 an hour private firefighters to save their $1 million homes and businesses as the fires rage on. As the flames continue to force thousands out of their homes, some celebs and billionaires had sparked backlash for their tone-deaf move to save their investment. See, there you go. Backlash and tone deafness. Keith Wasserman, co-founder of real estate investments firm Gelt Venture Partners, provoked fury after a post on X in which he asked for private firefighters to protect his land in the A-list neighborhood of the Pacific Palisades. The region has been devastated by the ongoing inferno.
There's a Pacific Palisades?
I don't see anything wrong with this.
I don't either. But-
Hiring private firefighters.
Hey, but the people who can't afford it, they're like, hey, come on, man.
Well, that's like, did you bring enough gum for the class? Like, it's a stupid proposition to be like, if one person has something, then everybody else has to have it too.
Yeah,
That's not how life works.
These are the guys who also have private security, so they
Yeah.
don't have to call the cops.
Right.
The region has been devastated by the ongoing inferno, with emergency services still struggling to contain the fires there. Keith's post on Friday read, does anyone have access to private firefighters to protect our homes in Pacific Palisades? Need to act fast. All neighbors' houses burning. Will pay any amount. Thank you. The billionaire owns a mansion in the wealthy area. Oh, stupid. As well as an upscale outdoor mall, which he is trying to protect from raging fires. Social media users criticized Keith, slamming his call for help as incredibly tone deaf.
How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you want to protect your investments?
Well, it's putting it on X, right? If you just call like, hey, private firefighters,
Yeah.
right? But he's like putting it out there.
If I have a $5 million house and I have to fly a banner over the poorest neighborhood to get someone to come put the fire out, I'm doing it. I don't care if it's tone deaf.
Fly it over the prisons and just
Yeah.
get that slave labor.
Right.
Commenter Sam Vance wrote, incredible nerve. His family is
Incredible nerve.
evacuated and he is trying to hire private firefighters to risk their lives to save a home.
That's what firefighters do.
He most certainly has insured. Incredibly tone deaf.
Just let the regular firefighters risk their lives and not get it done and let it burn down like everyone else.
Yeah,
That's what the insurance is for.
It's
There's
like
moral hazard.
during COVID, people kept saying like, "Oh, I can't believe people are like ordering more Uber Eats. They're putting the Uber Eats people's lives at risk," which is kind of funny because it was like, yeah, it's funny because that is the way they're thinking, and yet they're fine with putting quote unquote my life at risk. But also, I was like, I want to do it, or else I wouldn't be. I want to deliver the food.
Don't
so-
you know that when somebody makes an Uber order, someone comes to your house with a gun and points it at your head and says, you better get in that car and go deliver, or we're going to shoot you right here.
no.
Or maybe if they just let people out of their houses, I'd go pick up my own food.
I think this was like mostly voluntary at the very beginning,
Okay.
at least.
All
It
right.
was like a bunch of people like, "Thank you for your service," wearing gloves.
Mhm.
Idiots.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, Just that whole thing was so stupid. All these people that work in the hospitals, like they've already been exposed to COVID, but now that they've been exposed and have immunity built up, let's fire them all because they don't want to get the COVID shot. Everything was so crazy. Anyway.
That's like 5 years ago now.
I just felt like bringing it up because it's kind of similar. It's like, oh, it's an emergency. And the people who are willing to get paid to help with the emergency, poor them. It's just a weird thing people use for like virtue signaling.
This is why you get the vocation at the prison. So when you get out of jail, you can make $2,000 an hour as a private firefighter.
That's right. So it was 5 years ago, but like I'm sure that they're working on the newest pandemic anytime.
No, yeah.
I see all these articles about like this new virus in China.
Bird flu.
Never found an update on whether they caught all those monkeys.
Beef flu.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think there was some like
There was like still a couple still remaining and never saw an update.
Too.
Okay.
From that same facility after the monkeys. I think it was like llamas or something.
the bat lady is still like doing research in China. China. User Rennie added, so you're suggesting that potentially life-saving resources, even private, should be diverted to save your house because you're rich, while tens of thousands of people try to evacuate?
Private resources are not your resources. That's the whole point of them being private.
Well, but this is California. Everything's everybody's.
The Palisades of the Pacific Palisades are amazing, by the way. I looked it up because I was like, I've only recently learned what the Palisades are. The place in New Jersey that's like it's a cliff right on the ocean. It's so pretty. These are way prettier. It's like kind of like more sloping. Every house is so nice and purposely built where it like falls nicely over the cliffs.
I'd be so uncomfortable somewhere
So
like that.
we did work in a neighborhood in Hawaii that is up a mountain, and to get like, there's one road access to the mountain, and there's a security gate down at the bottom. And so like, well, I'm not going to be able to get through that gate. So I got to park across the street and dude, you got to like drive me in. So that's how I got in, you know, I rode in with my coworker, and then we're driving through the neighborhood trying to find the house. And there was a second gated community inside the security gate.
We're better than those other guys.
So like the Mercedes and the Lexuses and all those cars are like parked outside that gate. Right. And inside that gate is like the Ferraris and the Lambos and the Bugatti. I'm like,
that's funny.
It's a private community within a secure neighborhood.
Yeah, and they're probably like all that white trash out there.
Yes.
Make sure you lock the gate.
Which is probably true because one of the guys I knew who lived up there, like he took us up there before that because it's like the only place you can access to go on a hike, right? And he was a security guard when I was working at a gas station, so he wasn't rich, right? But his parents were, so he lived there and he grew up there, but he was working as a security guard at a strip mall. But he got through the main gate, the security gate down at the bottom, but no way he gets to the private community gate.
Wow. I can totally see why people like to live in California, just barring all information in their head. But it's like currently with the government that's there, horrible. Absolutely. Like that makes it like absolutely there's not even a chance I would ever live there. And then on top of that, it's like the way that things are run, like there's no water. There's not actually water there. That's crazy. And it's not like we live in a society where it's like, like getting rid of the salt out of the ocean or doing anything that like makes sense.
I feel like,
but if you're wealthy, it doesn't matter.
So much of the society too, like the culture,
the people,
is not at all what I would like to be around. And so
I know.
Like, if you're a movie star, where else are you going to live? That's where movies are made, and you make enough to like still be rich and famous and pay all the taxes that California requires.
If you're rich and famous and you're a movie star, just live wherever you want and then just go there when you have to work.
Kanye West has like a house everywhere.
A year to make $6 billion or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's possible, but again, a lot of that is like networking, right? You got to go to the events, you got to go to the parties, you got to.
And that's the thing, like we mentioned about the
one of them.
Yeah, like like the Kardashians, how they just want everybody to like them. I just could never. I could never pretend I liked everyone just to get popular. It sounds so boring.
They don't. That's the thing too, is they don't even pretend they like each other. They just constantly have like all these dramas and stuff. Sounds exhausting.
It does, but if you're paying me like $1 billion,
no, maybe.
Like, forget about it.
Yeah.
I'd find a way to make it work.
603-283-6160. Call in and get on the air with us. Free Talk Live. More coming up.
While digital communications coordinator Brian Tyler is considered by many of his coworkers to be the cutest guy around the offices of Western Psychological Publishing Services, employees conceded today the 27-year-old is not even particularly attractive.
Brian gets a lot of attention from girls around here, but if I saw him in a bar, I don't know if I would even notice him. Put him next to Glenn or Mike, and then, sure, he actually looks pretty good.
Co-workers explained to reporters that by everyday standards, Tyler would at best be considered moderately good-looking, but explained that given the abundance of unattractive men at the publishing firm, female employees often go out of their way to make small talk with the 27-year-old at his desk or eat lunch with him in the office kitchen.
I saw him walking to work the other day, and half the guys on the street were easily better looking than him. But here, he's the hottest guy around. It's almost kind of sad. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd still him.
This is the Onion News Network.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Sally Patterson. At least 16 people are dead and many others are missing as fires continue to tear through California. The state's governor said on Sunday the fires are likely to be the worst natural disaster in U.S. history in terms of the costs associated with them. Red flag warnings, which mark critical fire weather conditions, have been issued through Wednesday for portions of Los Angeles. Newsom says he will be deploying another 1,000 members of California's National Guard. That brings a total to 2,500. Other nations have committed to sending their own fighters to help battle the blazes, including Canada and Ukraine. Around 105,000 people remain under mandatory evacuation orders, and more than 8 million people are in a fire risk zone. Dozens of people are facing a variety of charges related to the fires. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna says they've encountered several people taking advantage of the chaos to burglarize homes. Officials are warning residents not to begin returning home until it's safe to do so. Here's Kristen Crowley, the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department.
There are still active fires that are burning within the Palisades area, making it extremely, extremely dangerous for the public. There's no power, there's no water, there's broken gas lines, and we have unstable structures. The first responders are working as quickly as possible to ensure that it is safe for you to return into your communities. Canine search teams have been deployed to assist with our recovery efforts.
Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump slammed the response on Sunday, calling California officials, quote, incompetent. Donald Trump took to social media, writing that the incompetent politicians have no idea how to put them out. He called on the governor to resign. Newsom, however, had reached out to Donald Trump on Friday, inviting him to come and see the damage firsthand and meet first responders. Newsom told media on Sunday he hadn't yet received a response. He's also condemned misinformation being spread by the president-elect. That included allegations he'd refused to sign necessary water declarations and he'd redirected water to save fish rather than Californian residents. And Ukraine's president says he will hand over captured soldiers from North Korea in exchange for Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia. Ukraine said on Saturday it had captured 2 prisoners of war who were injured. Volodymyr Zelensky said they were captured on January 9th, and this was not an easy task. Zelensky said they were being treated with medical care. And an explosion in Yemen has killed 15 people and left many others injured. The blast took place at a fuel station, according to the country's health ministry. From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Call in at 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear like t-shirts and hoodies are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny Liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. In the studio is Lori.
Bonnie.
And Richie Rich.
And you were telling us about how evil the rich people are for wanting to protect their investments by spending money to hire private companies.
$2,000 an hour. Private firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
People just don't have like actual morals at all. They just go off of like what they feel is right or wrong. It's like it's wrong to give someone money to feed their families for a job that they're willing to do. That's so stupid.
I don't think it's that they don't have morals. I think that they're entitled because everything is handed to everybody now. Because, you know, the government gives you...
What, you think you're better than me because you're rich? And my house is going to burn and your house is going to be saved?
But it's both.
I think I have the capability to pay for it to happen. Not that I'm better.
It's both that they're also not moral because they're always like, oh, I'm going to make, like, I'm entitled to this thing. I'm mad that someone else has something and I'm going to make a moral argument. Like, how dare you, you know, the stuff that they're commenting to this guy. And it's like, because they don't actually have a foundation of like what is moral and what's not. It's just like they can just think they can just make it up, you know?
Let's find out what Sarah thinks.
Oh,
if
okay.
we should be allowed to take care of our own things with our own resources.
She better say no if she's like a real communist.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah in New Mexico.
Oh, hi.
Everywhere. Michigan. 14-year-old girls were pimped out and they got busted.
Start over because I didn't hear the first part of what you said.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they were being 14-year-old girls were being trafficked from Los Angeles.
Okay. Where?
And then they got busted because somebody they were soliciting for sex on Central Boulevard. And they're like they're half naked like 2 weeks ago in the middle of winter.
I'm gonna use Richie's line here and say that's not news. That happens all the time.
True.
For all of human history, people getting trafficked into the sex trades.
Well, the thing is, they made the news, and you know they're going to get help because obviously they're not going to be put in jail because
That's not
they're
obvious.
being forced.
Sometimes they've been arrested for prostitution.
Yeah, that's so
even
true.
though they've been trafficked.
Well, but that's what you know what they're changing that habit. They're finding out it's that these girls are being forced into it, and then they
Well, that's kind of like a question, right? Like I was wondering if they were forced into it or not. Are they even claiming that?
Well, yeah. Well, obviously they must have found them with no family. Like they go also that they track them from foster care. They know they don't have family. The moment they get released, they have no place to go. They throw them out when they're 18. So they're ready to just pounce on them. They get the foster care women. So I don't know how they were 14, but they brought them on the Amtrak.
They probably lasted a year after they were 13.
But I don't know. They felt like they'd come here in New Mexico and do all this. You know, they have videos of it. So they got, and it was a 21-year-old.
Do you have these videos, Sarah?
Well, I mean, it was on the news.
Oh,
so
okay.
they were from Los Angeles, but they got brought to New Mexico?
Right. For some reason, yeah. They just, I wonder why they didn't pimp them out over there, but, well, they tend to,
supply and demand.
Well, because if you take somebody from Los Angeles and you take them away, far away, where they have no way to get back to where they're going and they have no resources, then it's easier to control them.
It's like a cult.
Right. And then they don't know how to get around here. They don't know anybody. And over there, they might know their way around.
Yes, so that's why they brought them there.
Did it.
There's your answer.
They were told that. Well, but you know what? I think what's exciting is that they're going to have like human trafficking bills this session, and the governor's all in favor of signing it.
They already have stuff against human trafficking, and it hasn't stopped. See, obviously, these two 14-year-old girls were saying they're getting trafficked.
So, Sarah, how do you feel about the rich people in California hiring private firefighters to save their houses?
I mean, if they have money, I guess they can spend it on whatever money they want. But you know, the reservoir
Sarah the capitalist.
Yeah, but wait a minute. What difference does it make if they hire them? If there's no water and the fire hydrant, what difference does it make?
Wait, that's a good question. That's a great question.
I'm sure these firefighting companies have trucks preloaded with water to go save whoever's paying them. It's $2,000 an hour
from other states. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Yeah, but that's
for the right price, you could truck it in, man. It's a market, it's supply and demand. The
That's right.
water's there. It's not a supply.
Homes while other homes burn around them.
Well, I mean, is that the way? Is that the way it is? People got money. I mean, they pay for all kinds of stuff. I mean, they hire lawyers to defend them. They got money. I mean, look at Alec Baldwin. Like, he's countersuing the court for malicious suing, jacking him up for no reason. And you got money, you could do all kinds of stuff. But can't you get out of jail?
How the heck can he say that's malicious? I don't know.
I know you can do all kinds of stuff. I just want to know how you felt about it. If you felt that it was fine to do.
Morally reprehensible.
Well, the thing is, I mean, whether it's right or not, it's just it's just the way it is. I think, as far as I'm concerned, that paying that fire, it's not going to really be worth much. What is a truckload of fire going to do to save that hall?
A truckload of fire is not going to do it.
You ordered fire, right? Oh, sorry. We're the fire people.
Again, if you've got a $10 million home, right, and it's got stuff of sentimental value in there,
Or real value.
but the real value and the insurance will cover.
Yeah,
Right.
unless it's like your Bitcoin keys.
Well, that's okay, fair. I mean, hopefully you put that in your pocket as you evacuate.
Hopefully.
But it only but you can hire firefighters at $2,000 an hour and spend less than $50,000, say,
Right, to save
to
all of
save $10 million worth of value.
Mhm.
Right? Is that not then worth it?
Yes, it's absolutely
And
worth
it's,
it.
and it's also not worth they're like, well, just let it burn and collect the insurance money.
Right.
That's a hassle.
Right.
I don't want to go through that hassle.
And you're going to have to fight for it.
File claim after claim. You're without the stuff until you repurchase the stuff.
Mhm. And some things are just irreplaceable.
Yeah.
And you probably will not be made whole if
Right.
you have all of these things inside of your $10 million home.
Right.
So
spend the money.
Speaking of fires, I just want to mention that that where the homeless people camp, they've caused they try to light let's say a light pole and a fence, a wooden fence, try to light it and it started a fire. And then I got the neighbor. I said, I want to show you something. There was a fire in the back. And he's like, oh, I really don't care. I'm just a renter. I just rent here. I don't
Yeah, but do you
care.
want to catch on fire in your sleep?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, look, I want to show you this. So we went around, and it's like the wood is like a cracker. I snapped it, and it cracked.
Wait,
was it still on fire?
No, it didn't catch on fire because I think they had fire retardant. I was told that they put fire.
So they tried,
retardant
but why were homeless people trying to catch the fence on fire? Is that what it is?
Well, you know what? That had a little wind block. They were sleeping there with a
You know what's a
tent
good
and
fire
blanket.
retardant?
They were trying to
Asbestos.
stay warm.
Yeah.
No, they were trying to stay warm. I think they started 5,000 fires. They've literally set in empty abandoned buildings and homes and everything on fire. I've seen fires all over because it's.
Well, let's hire more homeless people, Sarah. That's what you want to do.
I would also say I don't care. I'm a renter. If somebody was like, "Hey, this fence is not on fire," I'd be like, "I don't care."
So
that it's not on fire.
Here's the
I'm not
foolish
going to
thing.
burn.
I'm just afraid they come back or something.
What am I going to do though?
Shoot them.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about New
That's
Mexico.
true.
I don't know.
Here's the foolish thing about being a renter, because I'm also a renter, and I'm not going to say coerced. I was convinced not to take an action that I should have, and then paid the price, even as a renter. So several years ago, it got really cold in New Hampshire,
Right.
and it was going to hit 0 degrees, or it was going to go into the negatives. And I was, talking to my partner. I was like, hey, should we we should probably drip the faucets so the pipes don't freeze. And she went, meh, you rent. It's the landlord's responsibility. I'm like,
I mean, then you're going to be without water.
and that's what happened. The pipes burst and we couldn't flush the toilet for 4 days.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was turn the knob. And she was like, no, why would you do that? I'm like, well, because it was the smart thing to do.
Yes.
But totally
preventative measures.
The other thing with the
and I
fence
don't
would be...
know why she disagreed with me.
I would still be appreciative of Sarah telling me about the fence thing, even if I wasn't afraid of them coming back or afraid of, or upset about it. I would be like, oh, thank you. Now I'm going to tell the landlord. hey, I didn't do that.
Right,
So
and
you're
like,
like,
I didn't see it. Call the cops
How
or
about this?
something.
I met the owner. She pulled up in a Lexus. It was a lady.
Tell her.
And then she was there with a contractor. They were going to put a cinder block wall.
yeah, but that lady
he
might
did.
charge her renter saying, you did this, and I'd like to know about it. So I can say I didn't do that.
No, yeah, she got a photo. She was out like 2 weeks, like 5 days later, and then
She already knew about it.
They are gonna put a cinder block wall. The concrete wall is not gonna catch on fire. No way.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? That would upset me. Do you think you could sleep well if somebody's out there lighting your fence on fire?
No, seriously, that's
If they're
the
no
first thing.
longer out there.
If I thought they were going to come back,
it's not
though,
on fire anymore.
if I thought that they did it once and they would come try it again, then yeah, I would be upset and I'd be freaked out. I'd be freaked out if anybody was just out there, like sleeping right in my backyard.
Yeah, if there was people that would already be a problem. I'd be like, get out of my yard.
Well, yeah, they do that all the time. Yeah, they did. There was that park. We put a bunch of rock behind the tree, so they moved across the street, and they're sleeping over there now. And then,
What, you thought they were going to disappear if you put rocks in that little spot of grass?
behind the tree where they hide, we ran them out of there. Now they're going across the office side and sleeping by the fence now.
Yeah, because they weren't going to disappear. The reason they're there is because of you, Sarah. You want to give people money for just existing, and that's why homeless people exist.
Transplant some red ants. Let them nest. And they'll bite them.
Ground bees.
There you go.
You know what? They're all. I found the drug paraphernalia. They had aluminum foil with a black marker. They're smoking, burning up fentanyl.
So you're a better homeless person than them. They're worse. They're lower than you.
Is that how you do fentanyl? You burn it?
I have no idea.
I think that's one of the methods. Or they smoke all kinds. I think fentanyl like that.
Well, yeah, because it's in heroin. So I think you smoke heroin.
Okay.
It's also in like pills. So I guess you could also just swallow
I
it.
thought heroin was more of an injectable.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I think
But you can't
can
smoke
it. Chasing the Dragon, and you can shoot
Okay.
it up. I've never heard of pills though.
But the
Heroin
pills are like
pills?
it'll be like Percocet, but it'll have fentanyl in it, and people will die that way too.
So you know what? They definitely, if it's not them, somebody else will come back and do the same exact thing in the winter.
Yes,
So
because
we
they're
got them off our
paid
cars, now they're all
to not.
pushed over to the office side.
It's because they're paid to not participate in society. So
They're
they'll never go away.
Alcoholic, and they left the feces against the fence. Like, wait, I found it. There was a bunch of alcoholic bottles.
Sarah will never
And
realize that
there's
these problems are her fault ever.
Well, it is not my fault. You know what I mean? Because we moved them out of the back.
Not your fault
Putting a bunch of
directly,
rocks,
but
and now
your
they're over
fault
there.
insofar as they're the result of policies of which you advocate.
Yes.
Like you literally want the government to do things that leads to these results. And you advocate
Well, the
those things on the show
government
all the
don't
time.
want them to drink in public and do smoke fentanyl. They do it on their own. You know what I mean?
But they give them money and food and all of these resources to
Right.
stay homeless and keep contributing to the problem and stay on drugs.
Money is fungible. So they're not giving them money for drugs, but if they're using their money on drugs, that means they could have been using that money for like food and shelter. But if you give them food and shelter, then they have disposable income for drugs.
Every time you've ever said like, oh, people shouldn't go hungry, the government should be taking care of them, you're giving more people drugs than you are giving people food.
Mm-hmm.
By extension.
Well, I guess that's kind of true in a way.
Not kinda. It's absolutely true.
Well, I don't know. So we have all these.
I know,
There was a
and I'm
car
telling you.
parked there for 2 days, and I was going around the car. She opened the car door to say something to me. What are you coming around the car? I saw her face. She had tuck marks. She had marks like black dots. I knew that she was an addict.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found an orange cat and then a needle on the other side, and I knew that she was an addict.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but we got her out really quick in 2 days. But she was here like a month before. So in other words,
She'll probably
she
be
come
back.
in another month and stay for 3 days, do the same thing.
Yeah.
And can she turn her life around with proper support? Possibly.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
But not if you just keep enabling her to keep living the way
Right.
she's living
Mm.
and making everyone else's life worse.
That's why shelters and AA functions always have like rules and policies that you must then follow in order to get the services that they offer, is so that they don't enable you to continue to do the bad stuff that got you there in the first place.
Which is why a lot of people sleep on the street instead of sleeping in the shelters because they
Right.
want to keep doing
Right.
drugs.
Right.
Right, because they want to do all the drinking and drugs, and then if they have to be sober when they're in a shelter. That's
Which
what
they're enabled to do by the government giving them free handouts.
Because they're not going to get it from the shelter.
Right. If the government stopped giving them free handouts, they might have to go stay in the shelter and not do the drugs.
Me and one of my friends are always talking about how people don't think about where things came from. Like, if you think about it, there's probably tons of people in cities with their cell phones, and they're like, why do I gotta pay to keep the cell phone on? I have this cell phone, like, all I want to do is press it, but they don't know where the electricity comes from or where the actual, like the functions on the phone.
They think that like internet waves are just floating around us for free. To,
Yeah,
like,
just for
zap
free.
It
into.
is. It is.
But not like that, though.
Not like
you can't
that.
just like catch them.
And then,
You
like, they
can.
wouldn't be if there wasn't if there wasn't people working down the street to
Right.
force them to work like that.
Internet access is false scarcity.
I don't know about internet access. I'm talking about like electricity. Let's say electricity. Like people will be like, why do I have to pay to use the plug that's already in my wall? That's kind of Sarah. And she's like,
Yeah.
where do these drug addicts get the drugs from? That it's just part of something they do. Well, they have to get it from somewhere and they have to have money to get it.
Mhm. The government provides the drugs in many ways. Straight up provides the drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. We secured the poppy. We've got the poppy.
Why this little spot? It's a real tiny, like, plot of land, like maybe 20 feet by 30 feet, plot of little dirt city property, and attracts so much drunks and drug addicts. And they throw. Why do they always, after they use the needle, they throw it out everywhere?
What incentives do they have to keep things nice around them? They don't have any. Somebody's going to be giving them money anyway.
And they don't care because they're on drugs.
And it's not their property.
And they're on drugs.
Well, why can't they put it in the trash?
Because they're on drugs.
The one that brought it. Why did they throw it out on the sidewalk where people could step on it? I don't understand.
Because they don't own the sidewalk and they don't have to maintain it.
And they definitely
And
don't
they're
care
on
about your
drugs.
feet
Yeah.
because they're just on drugs.
This-
Because they're on drugs.
This is the tragedy of the commons.
They don't care about their own property. Like, have you ever seen drug addicts' homes? They
Yeah,
don't
I've-
care about
I've
their
cleaned
own
out hoarder
houses.
houses.
Right. They don't
Yeah.
care about their own house. Why would they care about that? They're on drugs. Like, that is the reason that you're finding needles and drug paraphernalia all over and,
Yeah.
feces on fences and stuff like that.
But they're responsible drug users. We
There
can't-
are some.
Okay.
I had a roommate who was like a secret heroin addict, and I
There you
didn't
go.
know until after
Yeah.
he moved out.
See?
hmm And he like went to work.
You never knew that she was, huh? How did you find out?
He told me.
My uncle was a
Really?
functional addict.
Yeah.
I asked him, like, how did you do that? And he went, well, you go to work,
Mhm.
and then after work, you go to the bar, and then you drink all night. And then it's like, man, now I got to go to work, but I'm drunk. So then you do like a bump of cocaine,
Right.
and then you're ready for work again. And then you work, and then like, what do you want to do after work? Well, you go back to the bar.
Right.
And then you drink all night, and you get up and go to work. You're like, well, now I got to get to work, and I don't feel like working. So what do? You do another bump of cocaine,
Right.
and it just cycles. But every morning he got up, and every morning he went to work.
And my brother, who used to have like a business, he said he would hire a person on crack any day because they,
That's super fast.
yeah, they actually work at least, like different
Yeah.
than like a weed smoker even, like, and not that they
And they're
can't,
motivated
but-
to get the money,
Mhm.
so they can go buy the crack.
Right.
Some
Yeah.
people are like super good at working on weed. Not me. I wouldn't be. Not that I did like building a house job. I just mean that like even just like doing my homework, I couldn't be on weed.
Hmm.
On it.
This guy was like, he worked he built airplanes. The secret heroin addict. I don't know how he was pulling this all off, but
Heroin seems like a different,
Yeah.
a different like type of thing too, because it's like, well, how are you like paying attention and building airplanes? And
He didn't do it at work.
Hmm.
He was,
Oh, just as a hobby?
yeah,
Okay.
like as a hobby,
All
but
right.
like every day.
I believe it though, because heroin became like a big thing in my hometown once I moved to Utah, my hometown in Texas, and like so many people like I didn't expect, like I saw them on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
I go back and visit and I'm like, oh yeah, she's on heroin, and it's like, You wouldn't even think so.
Another friend of mine was on the pharmaceuticals, the Adderall and all that. And when he would run out of his supply of Adderall, he would go to the street stuff to get by until he got his next prescription filled of the good stuff. And he was like, I can't work without this.
Right.
And it's again because we're working at a gas station and the job was so mundane. And the only way he could stand, in the cooler for hours restocking shelves, right, was if he had the drugs in him. And that's how he functioned.
Kratom could probably help him, but you would get addicted to it too.
You just got to gamify your life is all.
Yeah.
That's how I handle the ADHDs. Just everything has a game.
Okay.
And then
that's actually so true.
Achieve your goal.
I really did help myself with I think I talked about it on the show. I brought these little tiny opaque bags and you open them up and you get a surprise thing. And I incentivized myself to do things that way.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever
Anything
works.
else, Sarah?
For him, it was drugs. It worked.
Yeah.
Well, going back to human trafficking, can we raise up that issue? I just want to have a shout out for all the people that are listening.
Sure.
We do have to, get after the human trafficking. I mean, these 14-year-old girls are just victims. I mean, so I'm glad they got rescued. So, hopefully the attitude is changing. They're saying to go after the pimps.
What do you mean the attitude is changing? I can't think of a time in my life where anyone's been like, human trafficking is fine and good and nobody should worry about it. I feel like it's always been recognized as bad.
About it. The whole thing is the girls, they're there.
Depends if you listen to Free Talk Live.
Now they're finding out they're being forced.
How do you know they're being trafficked? How do you know they didn't volunteer for this?
That's what I mean. It's honestly an honest question. It's not like they're 7. I wouldn't even ask if they were 7 years old. But if they're 14, I know plenty of girls that really wanted to have sex for free at 14.
And they can consent at 14.
I don't know.
Maybe they wanted to be on Epstein's Island because it paid better.
It's a whole different question, I guess. But
listen to the archives. It's there.
If you were to ask them, they'll say they were conned into it. What do you know when you're that 14 years old?
That $1,000 is better than not $1,000.
I specifically asked. I said, did they say they were being trafficked? And that's the answer. They said they were. So, I believe that more than I'm saying I think they're lying. I'm not saying I think they're lying. It's just that, I think you do have to actually ask.
I get it.
Wait, what do you think that if you have sex with underage girls, it's statutory rape? Because they're not well enough, that age to know what is consent or not is consent.
I'm not 100%.
Whole separate issue. Yeah.
Oh man, the music just hit.
603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. Call in and get on the air.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, Mark at freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Sally Patterson. At least 16 people are dead and many others are missing as fires continue to tear through California. The state's governor said on Sunday the fires are likely to be the worst natural disaster in U.S. history in terms of the costs associated with them. Red flag warnings, which mark critical fire weather conditions, have been issued through Wednesday for portions of Los Angeles. Newsom says he will be deploying another 1,000 members of California's National Guard. That brings a total to 2,500. Other nations have committed to sending their own fighters to help battle the blazes, including Canada and Ukraine. Around 105,000 people remain under mandatory evacuation orders, and more than 8 million people are in a fire risk zone. Dozens of people are facing a variety of charges related to the fires. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna says they've encountered several people taking advantage of the chaos to burglarize homes. Officials are warning residents not to begin returning home until it's safe to do so. Here's Kristen Crowley, the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department.
There are still active fires that are burning within the Palisades area, making it extremely, extremely dangerous for the public. There's no power, there's no water, there's broken gas lines, and we have unstable structures. The first responders are working as quickly as possible to ensure that it is safe for you to return into your communities. Canine search teams have been deployed to assist with our recovery efforts.
Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump slammed the response on Sunday, calling California officials, quote, incompetent. Donald Trump took to social media, writing that the incompetent politicians have no idea how to put them out. He called on the governor to resign. Newsom, however, had reached out to Donald Trump on Friday, inviting him to come and see the damage firsthand and meet first responders. Newsom told media on Sunday he hadn't yet received a response. He's also condemned misinformation being spread by the president-elect. That included allegations he'd refused to sign necessary water declarations and he'd redirected water to save fish rather than Californian residents. And Ukraine's president says he will hand over captured soldiers from North Korea in exchange for Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia. Ukraine said on Saturday it had captured 2 prisoners of war who were injured. Volodymyr Zelensky said they were captured on January 9th, and this was not an easy task. Zelensky said they were being treated with medical care. And an explosion in Yemen has killed 15 people and left many others injured. The blast took place at a fuel station, according to the country's health ministry. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
The bagpipe industry is hitting back at a new survey that suggests time may be up for the historic Scottish instrument. New figures show that in 2024, bagpipes were among the bottom 5 instruments purchased, with sales so low they should now be considered critically endangered.
It's just not true. It's been badly researched and it's misinformed.
Finlay MacDonald is the director of the National Piping Centre in Glasgow.
Piping is more popular now than it's ever been. The stats on the particular story we're talking about were taken from an online website which don't sell bagpipes. I've spoken to 3 of the biggest bagpipe producers in Scotland, and they've sold more pipes this year than they have in any other year. Likewise, we have at the National Piping Centre. There are huge piping scenes in Canada, in America, New Zealand, Australia, all over Europe, the Middle East. If you actually go to the bagpipe makers who are selling these instruments and the pipes and the retailers that are selling it, the numbers are actually buoyant.
He says that the National Piping Centre's videos are securing millions of views on social media, and that piping itself is a healthy pursuit because it takes so much puff to play the instrument. Rumours of the pipe's demise, he insists, are grossly overstated. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories, at least 16 people are dead and many others are missing as fires continue to tear through California. The US President-elect Donald Trump has slammed the response to the fires, calling California officials, quote, incompetent. And Ukraine's president says he will hand over captured soldiers from North Korea in exchange for Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia. That's the latest feature story news. Sally Patterson reporting.
5-Hour Energy CEO Manoj Bhargava claimed this week that the 13 deaths associated with his product were just collateral damage in his company's ongoing war against that 230 feeling. Quote, "We honor the sacrifice of all those who have fallen. I wish we could live in a world where you could get a spike of energy and no crash and not die. But that's not the world we live in." Passionate supporters have flooded social media, demonstrating the terrifying costs of midday drowsiness and fatigue, with consumers saying that when it comes to extra alertness in the mid-afternoon, they are willing to pay any price.
As the wife of a 5-hour energy drinker, we've had to sacrifice a lot in the name of long-lasting bursts of energy that carry you out of the workday and into the evening. We knew the risks going in.
Bhargava says his company has no plans to stop until the 230 feeling is completely wiped off the map, at which point they will turn their attention to that 330 feeling, 430 feeling, and people with a case of the Mondays.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Call in at 603-283-6160. It's officially unofficial. We've been podcasting since podcasts began, but we've launched another podcast anyway. The podcast is a 30 to 45-minute show that releases once a week, and you can find it at freetalkcast.com. It's brought to you by the same people who bring you Free Talk Live, and we'd love for you to check it out. The existing radio archive isn't going anywhere. This is just a new show designed from the start to be a podcast, so check it out at freetalkcast.com. And Richie was on a couple weeks ago, but then it got sent into the ether. Is that what happened?
Yeah, there was some technicalities with the recording, and it was lost.
Yep.
So now all we have is the tribute to the best podcast episode in the world.
That's right. Now you got a fish story, so you can be like, we recorded the most amazing podcast.
It was so good.
No one will ever hear it.
No one will ever hear it.
You just have to trust us.
Episode 26 is just a tribute to the best podcast episode in the world.
Did you really record another, like a recording with you giving a tribute to it? Is that what you're saying?
No, so I was on episode 20, we recorded episode 26, and the recording was lost. And so Aria re-recorded episode 26, which basically covered the same information.
With you?
No, just on her own, but with a lot less commentary. And then her and Nikki went on to do like episode 27. Now, she said that she might have some software that might be able to clean up episode 26, like the one that we did. And I said, like, well, if you're going to do that, throw in some auto-tune, throw in some drums in the background, and release it as like Free Talk Live the musical or Free Talk Cast the musical. And so I have no idea what she's going to do.
That'd be fun though.
But she said that she might just release it as as a joke episode, just so it's available for people. And maybe if you're tech savvy and you get it and you want to clean it up, or you think you have the software to do so.
Well,
Couldn't you just tell AI to do so? Couldn't you just
that's
say,
true.
AI, fix this?
I think AI could, because AI is part of what fixed an old recording of the Beatles, and it was like, oh, we've always had this recording of this song they recorded, but it sounded bad, so a new quote-unquote Beatles song came out fixed up with AI. So that's so true, but also Turd called in yesterday, and this seriously blew my mind. I've always wondered, whenever like somebody makes a remix of a song and it's like they use the vocals of like a popular song, but they put totally different everything else, like how did they get the vocals? Like, is there somewhere online you can go find just the vocals, like the people, the student? Well, he said that is sometimes true, but even when it's not, he has this like, I don't know, some kind of a audio editing device now that he can use to isolate things even if they've never been like released on their own.
Okay.
And I was like, that's possible, because what if there's like a drum that makes a noise every single time while she's singing? Like how, and he said that it can just figure out what the sound wave would sound like and then isolate it. And it's just cool.
When a recording is done, isn't it like separate microphones for each thing?
Yeah,
so it
so-
would be recorded in like different layers of audio.
I
so
get
it should
that.
be able
So
to.
But then when it's the final project or product, and it's like
Right.
all you have is the final product, that's what I've
You don't
always wondered.
you don't always have the final product. So I do my own separate podcast aside from the Free Talk Cast, like on Saturdays.
And that's called?
The Anarchist Experience.
There you go.
And we just somewhere along the line we decided that we needed to have intro music for the show. And I went, I don't want to deal with licensing. I'm not good enough to like put together my own intro music. Like I'm not a musician. And so one of my co-hosts like gave me a piece of Rachmaninoff, which is just, classical music.
Oh.
And so I took like a snippet of the Rachmaninoff because no licensing issues there. And then because it's the Anarchist Experience, I found the vocals from Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? Like just the vocals, no music track, right? And it was like a service that you could pay for, but you got a free trial. Like, I only need to use this once. So I used the free trial and I got just the vocal track and I put, the Are You Experienced lines mixed in with Rachmaninoff for my intro music.
Cool.
That is cool.
The service is out there. If you don't have AI or whatever Turd Ferguson does to use it, and it's maybe not available for everything, but like, karaoke tracks, right? That's the music without the vocals. So there's things out there that'll have the vocals without
And
the
that's
music.
what made me always wonder that. It's like I hear
Right.
a karaoke track and I'm like, so did the studio who like mixed this, did they also release an instrumental like every single
Yes.
time? And apparently they do that, but also they don't always. And even if they don't, you can like dissect it yourself.
And if you're old enough, you could buy singles. And sometimes that single, right, had like the acapella version, the release, the remix, and the instrumental all on the same cassette, or all on the same CD, and you could pull it you could do it that way as well.
I remember that. When you
Yeah.
could hold music.
I can't believe this conversation happened a second day in a row, really.
Well, now you got the answers.
Yeah. So there's been the four main stories that I've seen this week were the terrorist attacks, the fires, and then Facebook.
Okay. Well, not Trump buying everything?
Oh, Trump buying
yeah.
Greenland.
Okay.
That was a big one.
Mm-hmm. I saw that too. I guess there was a new thing that came out today saying that Greenland is considering working with him in some way.
They want to maintain independence.
Yeah.
Like that's the Greenland official line.
Is it Greenland or Greenland?
Whatever.
Yeah, I was unsure. I was going with
Tomato,
Greenland.
tomato.
It is
Potato,
green
potato.
in the land.
Tomato, potato.
Greenlanders.
And I saw today that more than 60% of them voted in a poll recently that they do want independence from Denmark.
Which they
Wait,
kind of already
Denmark?
do. They've been granted like, status from like the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
They're already their own thing, just protected by the crown.
Wait, is Denmark different than the Netherlands?
I think the Netherlands might be more inclusive.
So those are
Norway, Finland, Denmark.
Oh, Norway, Finland, Denmark. So the Netherlands is a whole other one. And yesterday I was calling them
Okay.
the people
So is it
that
like a?
Who are the Dutch?
Is it
yeah,
like,
I thought they were
that's
the Dutch of
Denmark,
Dem.
right? Okay.
I thought the Dutch were Netherlands. Honestly, see it.
It's a line from Friends.
Yeah.
Joey was confused.
I
always think of if there's two kinds of people I can't stand, it's those that are intolerant of other people's culture and the Dutch. That's the one I always think of. So, but that, and then Facebook rolling back its DEI. People are losing their minds, saying that everyone should leave Facebook, and if you work for Facebook, you're complicit in hate and all of this stuff because they're no longer going to have the independent fact checkers who are not independent fact checkers at all.
There's competition out there. Go do your own thing.
Yeah,
Nobody
there's that
cares.
blue sky thing now that
Yeah.
nobody uses. But
the
except
left
uses
end
it.
pedophiles. But
Yep.
that's an overlapping Venn diagram.
I don't understand things like this, like the blue sky thing where everybody wants to be in their little bubble, where everyone thinks the same and talks the same, and you have no opposing viewpoints, and
They don't want to
know.
get offended.
You don't understand that?
I mean, I know why they do it because they're dainty
Okay.
and unable to challenge their own beliefs.
I mean, there's a lot of people around here that like just live in the libertarian bubble for similar reasons.
That's weird too.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I think there's a difference between, like, can't go on a social media site and have somebody disagree with you, and I don't want my neighbors to think it's okay to kill me because I'm, you know, like, doing something they disagree with.
I got you.
Yes, but like your input from the world should not be from a singular source.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying there's a difference.
Right.
Like, he's saying, well, I don't know, maybe I'm taking it a certain way, but
talk to a bunch of free staters and they have no idea what goes on in like the real world because they only hang out with other free staters and they live in a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Are they not on social media?
What do normal people think? I have no idea. I only talk to libertarians.
It's probably autism too.
Again, another overlapping diagram.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, they're getting rid of the independent fact checkers because Mark Zuckerberg. Did you see the video?
No, I didn't watch the video.
Oh, he looks like a soccer mom. I don't know what's going on with his hair.
I
But
saw the
it's
long curly
so
hair.
Bad. It's so bad.
Okay.
I can't imagine
really
with long
terrible.
hair.
So, but he came on and said they're not
Gotta
doing the
Google it.
independent fact checkers anymore because they were biased.
You don't say.
Yeah, and they're rolling back a bunch of their DEI stuff. So I have the memo that he sent out, and I'm going to read it. It says, "Hi all. I wanted to share some changes we're making to our hiring, development, and procurement practices. Before getting into the details, there is some important background to lay out. The legal and policy landscape surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in the United States is changing. The Supreme Court of the United States has recently made a decision signaling a shift in how courts will approach DEI. It reaffirms long-standing principles that discrimination should not be tolerated or promoted on the basis of inherent characteristics. The term DEI has also become charged, in part because it is understood by some as a practice that suggests preferential treatment of some groups over others."
You don't say.
Yeah. At Meta, we have a principle of serving everyone. This can be achieved through cognitively diverse teams with differences in knowledge, skills, and political views, backgrounds, perspectives, and experiences. Such teams are better at innovating, solving complex problems, and identifying new opportunities, which ultimately help us deliver on our ambition to build products that serve everyone. On top of that, we've always believed that no one should be given or deprived of opportunities because of protected characteristics, and that has not changed. Given the shifting legal and policy landscape, we're making the following changes.
So pause there, because even the discrimination thing, right? The libertarian position is to roll back the Civil Rights Act of 1964 or whatever. Like that's on the table. You should absolutely be able to discriminate for whatever reason you want as a private operator, a private owner of private property.
I mean, I agree.
Okay.
I agree that you should
There
be able
shouldn't
to,
be protected classes.
I agree there shouldn't
All
be
right.
protected classes. So if somebody hates black people, I'd prefer to know that they hate black people. So that way I don't do business with them.
Yeah.
I don't want to go do business, give somebody my money who's a hateful, terrible person.
I want to see those whites only sign all the way down Main Street, just like the good old days.
That's right. And then they can just go out of business because nobody will shop there except for racists.
I really don't think
Rich
it
white
happened
people.
like in like Keene with all rich white people. I'm pretty sure most of them would be really mad if you did that because they're all like woke. I looked up the video of him, and I think the thing is, I disagree that he looks like a soccer mom. I think he's trying to look like Andrew Tate, like a bro. Here, bro. I'm gonna tell you how
He
to
looks like my
get ahead.
Andrew Tate is bald,
He
though.
looks like my gym teacher from 8th grade.
I mean the outfit.
Who's a woman.
Okay.
Oh.
My woman gym teacher from
Well,
8th grade.
that's because
she was a
he's-
lesbian. but,
She's lesbian.
Yeah. He looks like, okay.
Of course
It's
she
like
was.
this
Soccer
like big
mom,
fancy
lesbian soccer mom.
It's like
Female
this
teacher gym in the 80s?
this
Yeah.
big fancy
90s,
watch,
not that old.
Oh, okay.
a black
I was in elementary
T-shirt,
school in the 80s.
and like a gold
Did you
chain.
have gym in elementary school?
I had PE in
I-
elementary school.
I think we had like, you know,
Sixth grade was like the
group
turning.
dance.
Sixth grade was like the turning point where you couldn't show
Oh.
up in your like PE uniform.
What was elementary school for you? I grew up in Massachusetts, and elementary school was to 3rd grade.
Okay.
So
Mine was
that's
to
why,
fifth.
that's where our conversation was different.
I went to
there.
private school. I had PE in first grade.
We didn't have PE. We had
Okay.
like maybe
PE and recess.
We had like recess.
Okay.
Which was like you get the big parachute thing.
No,
and
there was like dodgeball and kickball and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
You
but
could
it
still
wasn't-
bean people in the head.
I guess
so
there was
your recess
dodgeball.
wasn't like outside on
It
like
was
do whatever you
sometimes-
want.
Sometimes, but living in New England, sometimes it's
Oh
still
yeah,
gross
yeah.
outside.
They didn't like make us do something for recess. It was just like go play whatever you want,
Yeah.
like outside or inside, whichever. But like with the
nerdy
tents,
chick just
that
stood over there with a book.
the tent thing, that was PE for my school.
Maybe I'm tripping, and it was PE, and I just don't recognize it as
Okay.
that because it wasn't actual like structured physical activity in any kind of way because they're little kids.
Did you guys play on the little scooter things? They're like you sit on a scooter and fly
Yeah.
around that was the funnest piece.
Oh, like the
of-
board thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The rolling board.
Yeah, it's like a piece of wood with couch wheels on it.
Mine was plastic.
Oh, there you go. Either way, less splinters.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We grew up in we had gravel on the playground. So like you'd fall and you get like rocks embedded inside of your arms and stuff and your elbows.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Someone would always want to play tackle football.
Hmm.
It's like, no, we're going tackle now.
I played with this
in the gravel.
I would always play with this one like boy in 4th grade, and people would be like, Bonnie and Tristan like each other. Bonnie and Tristan like each other.
Probably true.
It was 4th grade, sorry. And I was like, no, seriously, like boys and girls can be friends. And he grew up.
Tristan was like,
No.
I totally like Bonnie.
We both grew up, and he is gay now. And I was like, it makes so much sense. My friends have been gay boys since I was
That's
literally.
the only acceptable reason.
Yeah.
Otherwise, totally an orbiter, totally in the friend zone.
Mm-hmm.
Totally wanted to, like
Maybe that turned him gay.
couldn't pull the trigger.
I'm just kidding.
He was like, I never got with Bonnie, and now that's it. All women are ruined for me. So, everybody's losing their mind over this.
The left is losing their mind over this.
The left is losing their mind over this thing, saying that everyone should leave Facebook, that if you work there, you're complicit. You can't even have a job there at all. So
Silence is violence.
So quit your job and, put yourself in financial instability because someone's upset that you can say whatever you want now on Facebook.
I mean, if it's principled for you, like I would absolutely quit a job over principles.
But if your principle is that people should be censored in their speech, you have bad principles.
Yes, you do.
So that's where that differs.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because like so many people were acting like it was literal violence for them to have to quit a job for their principles during like 2020. Like, you don't understand, Bonnie, I had to inject myself with that poison. And it's just like, no, you didn't.
No.
Yes, I would have lost my job. Okay, well,
Yeah.
there are other jobs.
There are other jobs. But I mean, it's
a choice.
If the reason you're leaving is because of a stupid principle, like I want other people to be censored, then
Yeah. Then it's like that's such a lower bar.
and
they're like,
other
thing-
people to quit their job because you want other people to be censored. Not even you. You want other people who work in a job that you don't work in to quit their jobs so that other people can be censored.
Nothing wrong with advocating it. Just can't force
On
it.
Blue Sky, it's where everybody agrees with them.
Yes, on Blue Sky.
And nothing's going to happen.
Which is, I have not gone there. I'm
Me
tempted
neither.
to make an account there just
Yeah.
to like scope out what goes on.
I
'Cause
asked.
I'm nosy.
I asked my buddy because, again, I have multiple X accounts for various interests that I hold, and one of those interests is like we've talked about this before, like the retro video games. That's my main focus on X.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those people were like jumping ship to Blue Sky. Like, I just can't do it. I'm like, oh man, am I
So
gonna?
now you
have,
gotta go over there.
Am I gonna have? No, I haven't yet.
Hmm.
Because they're still cross posting, and
Oh, okay.
or someone else will post what they posted there, and I can still get access to it on X. But yeah, I was like, do we have to migrate over there? And here's the other thing: like, I typically would have already signed up, because when something new comes out, I sign up just to hold the space, and then nothing happens. And like I have a Mastodon account. I'm on Free Talk. I've never used it. No, I barely use it, but on the Free Talk Live server, right? When Library was a thing, I signed up for the Library, which was like the backbone or the predecessor to the Odyssey feed, and like 3 years later, my buddy's like, dude, you got to get on Library. I'm like, okay.
I'm already there.
Well, no, I forgot about it because 3 years later, before it mattered. And I went to sign up and I put the email address like, oh, you already have an account. I'm like, dude, I'm already there. I've been there waiting for you to show up. I think I have a ThinkSpot account somewhere.
I don't even know what that is.
Exactly. I think that was like Jordan Peterson's thing. Like, oh, we're starting a new, but I gave up when it started being like, Trump's Rumble and all that other stuff. I'm like,
Rumble is such a like trashy website. It's like, how do people watch it at all? Like every once in a blue moon when somebody sends me a video that's on website or Rumble, it's like, wow, you have to skip like 3 ads.
I tried Rumble.
It's ugly.
Or Truth Social.
I
Don't have a
tried
Truth
Rumble
Social.
and I was like, it seems like YouTube, but worse.
Yeah, it just is. And like Odyssey is also YouTube, but worse, but it's not so
I like
freaking
Odyssey.
horrible. I love it. Like I use it every day. It stays in the background without turning itself off every 5 seconds if you're not looking at it. It doesn't make you watch ads. Sorry. I like almost like coughed in the middle of my sentence. But it doesn't make you watch ads. And Rumble is the worst of both worlds. It'll turn off if you're not looking at it. It makes you watch like 10 times the ads of even YouTube, which is bad right now. I don't pay for it. YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe I should.
I think I might have a Rumble account, but I don't have the Truth Social account. And I think I signed up for Rumble recently and might have been, for one of the Liberty things that were like, oh, we're only on Rumble. I'm like, all right, I guess.
Sucks. But I mean, it's like apparently a lot of people watch it. Like a lady named Kim Iverson is on there, and Jacob Hornberger went on there to talk about an article he wrote about Ian's trial and situation.
Yeah, I read all 3 parts of that thing.
That was a great article that you can find at freeiannow.org. And also, all I was saying was like Kim Iverson had a huge audience that saw that.
Yeah.
So.
There's one for gun tubers because YouTube censors a bunch of gun related content.
Oh, yeah, so that's the thing about YouTube is like their censorship is out of control. You can't say so many things.
I get
things
it.
that are not swears, things that are not.
I get it. But again,
like you can't use words.
Yeah.
But the point is there's alternatives, right? I mean, it's not a free market, but kind of is, right? There's open source alternatives. There's closed source alternatives. You could go elsewhere. You can put your money where your mouth is and leave.
Yep.
Right?
And then the government will take down the one you like the most.
Maybe because they can't do anything with Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
Like it's blockchain.
Is that happening? Is TikTok being taken down?
No, but they took down Library.
Oh, I know that TikTok is being threatened. Right?
Oh wait, yeah, that is being threatened to be kind of taken down right now. Like they're
I don't know
threatening.
if it is going to be.
They're forcing them to
The
sell.
deadline's the 19th, and Trump is asking the Supreme Court to put a stay on it so he can change the decision the next day.
What does that mean? Change the decision? Like he
it's
doesn't want to do
It's an
it?
executive order, and Trump wants not to do what Biden is going to do.
Good. Interesting. I didn't know what side Trump was on.
I saw he has
Because
like.
he flip-flops.
Yeah.
I saw he has like 100 executive orders lined up already that he wants to.
Number 1, free Ross. Number 2, undo everything Biden just did. Number 3, take Greenland.
Yeah, Greenland. I want that. Why do you want it? I want it.
Yep.
It's a strategic military operation to like defend against Russian encroachment.
Yeah,
And,
I saw an article about why he wants it too.
Yeah.
I didn't get really into it yesterday, even though we started reading an article, but Chris Wade told me that it has something to do with he wants to get the European countries he wants to use that somehow as like a strategic lever to cause the European countries to fund their own militaries, because apparently right now the United States like loses money by like defending all these European countries just because they don't fund their own militaries.
Yeah, NATO.
Yeah, something like that.
So
something around there.
Here are the bullet points from the memo. It's on hiring. We will continue to source candidates from different backgrounds, but we will stop using the diverse slate approach. This practice has always been subject to public debate and is currently being challenged. We believe there are other ways to build an industry-leading workforce and leverage teams made up of world-class people from all types of backgrounds to build products that work for everyone. Yeah, you can do that. It's, on merit.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, we need to fill a slot of a token.
I get it. But again, I'll reiterate, as I said before, the minorities didn't have the same access as white people had for a long time.
Yes, but that's no longer the case.
I really just think if everything went anarchy today, most people would not be racist just like now.
I get it. But there's a catch-up phase of which now that they have access, they have to build the skill set that the white folks have already had.
Well, back to the firefighter thing. Women are not going to suddenly build a skill set of being bigger bodied, more physical people that can lift.
Until they know that they can be firefighters, and then they will build those skill sets in order to apply for the job.
You're not going to change biology. Like, women are not just going to suddenly be able to pick up full-grown adult men and carry them out of fires.
Yeah, there are women bodybuilders. You can build the muscle.
But it's just like even having bigger muscle, it doesn't mean it's much harder for women to build muscles, and a lot of things that have to do with like lifting is just straight up like think of simple machines. Like your arms are simple machines, and you can't change that.
The ones that want to be firefighters that did not have that career path in the past will now do the things necessary to get that career path.
But the thing is, like, no matter what they do, there will always be more men that can do it.
Yes, even female bodybuilders are not as strong as in-shape men.
Female powerlifters, then, like, pick your
Not
thing.
as strong as a male powerlifter. Like,
You're right.
The
But they can be as strong as a male firefighter.
They can be. Some women, a very small percentage.
And a growing percentage if you give them the opportunity.
603-283-6160. Free Talk Live. More coming up.
To
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Sally Patterson. At least 16 people are dead and many others are missing as fires continue to tear through California. The state's governor said on Sunday the fires are likely to be the worst natural disaster in U.S. history in terms of the costs associated with them. Red flag warnings, which mark critical fire weather conditions, have been issued through Wednesday for portions of Los Angeles. Newsom says he will be deploying another 1,000 members of California's National Guard. That brings a total to 2,500. Other nations have committed to sending their own fighters to help battle the blazes, including Canada and Ukraine. Around 105,000 people remain under mandatory evacuation orders, and more than 8 million people are in a fire risk zone. Dozens of people are facing a variety of charges related to the fires. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna says they've encountered several people taking advantage of the chaos to burglarize homes. Officials are warning residents not to begin returning home until it's safe to do so. Here's Kristen Crowley, the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department.
There are still active fires that are burning within the Palisades area, making it extremely, extremely dangerous for the public. There's no power, there's no water, there's broken gas lines, and we have unstable structures. The first responders are working as quickly as possible to ensure that it is safe for you to return into your communities. Canine search teams have been deployed to assist with our recovery efforts.
Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump slammed the response on Sunday, calling California officials, quote, incompetent. Donald Trump took to social media, writing that the incompetent politicians have no idea how to put them out. He called on the governor to resign. Newsom, however, had reached out to Donald Trump on Friday, inviting him to come and see the damage firsthand and meet first responders. Newsom told media on Sunday he hadn't yet received a response. He's also condemned misinformation being spread by the president-elect. That included allegations he'd refused to sign necessary water declarations and he'd redirected water to save fish rather than Californian residents. And Ukraine's president says he will hand over captured soldiers from North Korea in exchange for Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia. Ukraine said on Saturday it had captured 2 prisoners of war who were injured. Volodymyr Zelensky said they were captured on January 9th, and this was not an easy task. Zelensky said they were being treated with medical care. And an explosion in Yemen has killed 15 people and left many others injured. The blast took place at a fuel station, according to the country's health ministry. From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. Radio you control, call in at 603-283-6160. I'd like to thank Conrad for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Conrad went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks again to Conrad and everyone who supports us. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. In the studio is Lori.
Bonnie.
And Rich.
And we were talking about Facebook being criticized for ending their DEI initiatives and also their fact-checking. And I'm reading the memo that Zuckerberg sent out.
Where's the part where you can call women household objects?
Yeah, that's what I was like. Does he directly say that? Like, you can say whatever you want. You can call women household objects. Like, just keeps moving on.
It doesn't say any of that in here.
Oh.
So it says.
So this is like
CNN was just making it up again.
I was gonna say this is like a media created, outrage. Yeah, it's probably.
It doesn't say you can't, so that means you can.
Probably.
If they're not going to change it.
I think what they said was he did come out and say they weren't going to censor people's speech. You could call people insane or like mentally ill. That's what it was. You could say, if you thought that trans people were mentally ill, you could say that and that would be fine now. And like, you don't have to worry about your speech being censored against women.
I said that on the show once because I thought that was well agreed upon, that it's a mental illness.
They don't. So.
And then the trolls were like, whoa, based, Bonnie. And I was like, I wasn't trying to be based. I seriously thought that was a fact like that everyone agreed on.
They say that it's a mental condition, which I don't understand how those two things are separate.
Well, definitions matter right now.
If it makes you feel better to say mental condition instead of a mental illness, that's fine with me. It still means basically the same thing. There is something going on in your mind which is causing you to feel this way.
Yes, body dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia.
Which manifests in many different ways.
Sometimes. Some people have body dysmorphia. I don't think that everybody in this movement of I'm non-binary, I'm whatever, xenogender, that stuff, I don't think that those people have body dysmorphia.
I think that's completely agreed on, too.
And I think that it's harming the trans community personally. But
I think that's completely agreed on because whenever somebody gets diagnosed with it, they will get diagnosed with like, oh yeah, you are like trans, but it'll be like whether or not you will have
body dysmorphia.
Yeah, but they have another word for it.
Oh,
like gender dysmorphia is
gender
like
dysphoria.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. So that's always like a question, like, do you or do you not have gender dysphoria? And they'll say like whether or not the therapist will say whether or not they think they do. But I mean, it doesn't make them not trans. So yeah, I think that's like completely agreed upon that not everybody has the body dysmorphia. It's like anorexic people, some of them might just want to be as skinny as possible, but then the next one might really have body dysmorphia and think, no, seriously, I look fat. I'm looking in the mirror and I look fat.
Right.
Or the people who go like, I really don't need those last two fingers on my hand. Those shouldn't be there. I don't want them there.
Right.
Like I should have those amputated.
Yeah, those are terrible fingers.
They're terrible.
I
should.
Terrible.
I would feel whole if I were missing those two things.
Right. Which is weird.
It's weird because it's not normal.
It's right. It's not normal. But I think that the reason that they feel better saying a mental condition instead of a mental illness is because of the stigma attached to saying someone has a mental illness, like they're crazy.
Well, stigma aside, I would, if I was trans, be more happy to not say illness because of what the government might do to me because of it. That might be like one reason I would not want
red flag laws, take away your gun rights.
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
So I could see it from like that angle.
All kinds of reasons. Jobs.
I also think that a lot of the anti-trans people are virtue signaling. Like, I refuse to call him a her because I care about them. Like, no, you don't.
That is a virtue signal, yeah.
Yeah, you don't. You don't care at all.
Right.
They're not. You're not friends.
Right.
You don't care. You're not doing that to help their mental condition.
Right.
You're just a jerk.
Yes. So I think a lot of people too that are in the whole I won't say her for him, whatever, are doing like an extreme pushback against there are certain people in the trans community that they're pushing back against, like someone who looks like Richie Rich and says, I'm a woman.
That's true.
And they're like, absolutely not. I'm not playing along. So I'm not going to do any of it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where a lot of that comes from too.
Like there are people that put effort in and I don't even think of them as the gender they were quote unquote born with.
Right. If somebody presents as a woman, I'll call them her or she if they want me to.
I mean, it was for a speech class in college where, it was like compare and contrast or whatever it was. But I went, this is going to be funny because I had a girlfriend. I'm like, we're just going to go to the mall and I'm going to try on women's clothes. And we're going to take pictures for the project, right? But we're going to do it twice. The first time, I'm going to like wear my jacket, my jeans. I'm going to have my goatee, and we're going to go. And I'm like, I want to try on this dress, you know. And then I'm going to like fucking wear your clothes, and then shave. What?
Oh,
I think you said.
I think
No.
you did. I think
you did.
You said
Anyway.
I'm gonna.
Wow, that's a
Like,
first.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't catch
I'm
it
gonna-
though. I was just like.
I said I'm going to wear your clothes.
Yep.
That's what. Okay.
But no, there was
that's
another
not what you
word.
said the first
Oh,
time.
okay. Well, I
But
apologize. Then.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm going to wear your clothes,
Uh-huh.
and we're going to go do the same thing, and I'm going to try, you know, but both times, right? I was made to go to the the women's changing or the men's changing room to try on the clothes,
Mhm.
and that was like, you know, and then I wore a trench coat to class 1. And then, you know, as I was giving my speech, took off the trench coat to reveal that I was wearing my girlfriend's clothes at the time.
Yeah. So they made you go to the men's changing room.
No matter what, yeah.
I assume because you still had a beard
No, the second time I went clean shaven and wore women's clothes to go try on women's clothes.
and makeup.
No, I didn't put on
In
makeup.
what year was this? Like the 90s?
Yeah, 99, 2000.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense. I think today they'd be like, oh, whatever you want, go in the women's room. I
Right.
think they probably would.
It probably. Yep. They
But it
probably have
wasn't-
like a gender neutral.
But it wasn't
changing
body
room.
dysmorphia or anything. It was,
Right.
you know, it was a gag for a college class.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people on the internet, the chronically online spaces that are, you know, who just look like you and are like, I'm a woman, and if you don't call me she,
Right.
then you're misgendering me, and this is you're committing aggression against me, and I'm going to make a big huge thing of it and like try to get you in trouble
Right.
at your job.
Yeah,
or
they do
something
crazy
like that.
things at workplaces.
Uh-huh.
It's like a man, an old man who's bald. It's like, I'm a woman now, and you guys all have to walk on eggshells
Right.
around me. And like,
I mean, there's an activist in Manchester, right? I'm not going to name his name, but and he might not care. But like the state of New Hampshire allows you to just change your gender on your ID.
Mhm.
So his driver's license says female.
Mhm.
He's like, this is great because now I'm legally female by the state, and I could apply for diverse, like, you know, business opportunities for diversity hires and
Right.
females and whatever, get all these benefits. But he has
cheaper insurance, probably.
But he's
yeah,
just a
but
man.
he's a man, has a beard,
Right.
right? But his driver's license says F.
He didn't predict this benefit is when he gets pulled over by the cops and they're like messing with him because he's like an open carry advocate, stuff like that. And just the fact he's a libertarian, he's gonna like tell them he's recording them stuff. And the Manchester police like way more than all of the police in the rest of the state. But anyways, if they say like, well, sir, you're acting, he's like, ma'am, it's ma'am, when he doesn't actually believe that. And then they start walking on eggshells where they're like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
So
Nice.
it's
So
crazy.
you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's crazy because there are people who are legitimately doing that, like to just everyday people in restaurants and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so I think that's where a lot of the extreme pushback, where they're like, I'm not doing any of this, is coming from. And I kind of get it. Like, you shouldn't do that because it's just kind of punishing people who didn't do anything to you for something that someone else did.
Right.
But I understand in their small-minded way where they're coming from.
And then sometimes it is a virtue signal, like the example he gave, like, it's because I care about them. But then sometimes it's...
But they don't.
No, you
it's-
don't.
Because you're not even friends with them. You don't even like them.
Some people just own
You're
it that
being a
they just
jerk
don't
and
like
you don't
them,
want to call
though.
them a female.
Right.
Some people
You're
just
hoping
own
to
it.
get,
They're
like-
like, I just don't like that.
Hoping to get like
Points amongst the conservatives.
right, that's the word I was looking for, points amongst, and I was trying to think of that guy's
Clout.
name, the little Jewish guy.
Ben Shapiro?
Ben Shapiro, the
Ben
little-
Shapiro points.
the little Jewish guy.
I don't know how tall he is, but I just
Andrew
when
Tate
I
would
see
really
him,
think you're alpha.
When I see him, I picture him to be very small. So
Little Jewish boy.
little Jewish boy, yeah. So we're gonna go to David in New Mexico. Hi, David.
Screw you, Richie.
Aw.
I heard that. Oh, so there, take that.
I'll
that.
take it.
Wait, what? Why did
I'm
you
not-
say screw you to Richie?
Because I went, oh.
Because he.
Oh.
His side, because
Yeah.
we're talking
See,
to David.
and for that, I'm not going to call you your preferred pronouns, dude.
I don't even have preferred pronouns. I prefer proper
Well, I don't
nouns.
care. I'm not going to call you him anyway.
Okay.
All right. Glad we settled that.
Take that.
So what's up, David?
Take
You
that.
got me.
I'd take that. I'll talk about what you guys want. That way you can be boring instead of me.
Well, I forgot
Are you
to.
doing this again?
You really did email me, right? So I don't call
Pardon?
I said you really did email me, right? So I don't call someone else.
Well, that was the real me. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
So a
So
couple
David called in just so we could continue the article we were already reading.
with him.
Do you know anything
Yeah,
about?
but now we'll do
do you
it-
know
now
anything
we'll do
about
it
Trump's
best.
executive orders, David?
Well, yeah, I'm certain I do, but that's not the one you were just on, was it?
No, it wasn't.
We're on
Yeah,
Mark
so-
Zuckerberg's executive orders.
Yeah.
What about Greenland?
no.
Do you know anything about Greenland?
I know things about everything, Bonnie. But you were
Wow.
talking about I'm trying to be. It's an act, Bonnie. It's an act.
Hashtag doubt it.
You doubt it. So,
Did you know that?
I'm
Did you know that octopus
severely
passed a test
resisting
designed
my-
for human
my
children?
risky ad hominem.
Wow.
That's
They're
cool.
smart.
Say that again.
They are.
I love them.
Cephalopods, like octopuses and stuff. Octopi, octopodes, however you want to say
Octopodes.
it. Yep. They passed
There's a throwback joke too.
intelligence test designed for human children.
It was cuttlefish.
It was,
I love
was it
cuttlefish.
cuttlefish?
Oh,
It was cuttlefish, not octopus. See, I know everything.
wow.
It was
Proved it.
cephalopods, is what it says.
Cuttlefish is delicious.
Yeah, well, that's
I would.
A cephalopod is a, one of that group. Octopodes.
I guess I'd eat it.
Octopus.
Yeah.
I've eaten
cuttlefish.
octopus and I like them.
Octopi, like Octopi Wall Street.
I don't think octopi. I think it's generally considered in the grammar arena that octopuses, octopi, and octopodes are all acceptable.
Oh, I wonder that about cactuses sometimes.
I think it's cactuses and
Cacti.
cacti. But I will.
What about
certainly say
funguses?
Fungi.
Only fungi.
I think so.
How about octopussy?
That's
If you go to
James Bond.
if you go to the root, octopodes is correct.
I like octopodes. Is
All
my
of those,
preferred.
all those are allowed, but there was one correct one.
I
don't
thought
know why, but
octopodes was like you're making it a ancient Greek name.
I don't know why, but
'Cause the
octopode sounds more suctiony. So
I'm gonna
the one
get you with my
octopus.
octopodes. Yeah,
that was a Bond movie that's out of all of our age range.
I've been seeing this.
No, I mean I don't mean the movie. I mean the woman.
I've been seeing these videos of these dogs that will paint. They it's not like they're making it up themselves. So it's kind of like when a parrot says a word and they don't know what they're saying. Whatever. Some parrots do, but anyways, these dogs, the owner will use their finger and trace a shape above their heads, and the dogs follow along, and they're making whole paintings. And it's so cool and cute. It's
Are
only
they-
like Aussies.
Oh, Aussies. I was gonna say border collies.
Yes, border collies too. Like all kinds of dogs that
The
look like
smart
that.
dogs.
Yeah, the bigger ones.
Just hand the elephant a paintbrush.
Elephants,
Make
paint,
millions.
monkeys.
So cute.
David.
And
David
also,
paints,
there was
maybe.
a thing a few years
David's
ago
rats.
where different breeds of gorillas and monkeys were living together when they hadn't been before, and like living amongst each other like in peace instead of like fighting. And that was a newer thing. I just think animals are getting smarter.
I think that we're just developing ways to learn about how smart they are. But dogs have changed because of their interactions with humans and how close they are to humans. The dogs have evolved.
Yeah, so that's why I think
Who's
maybe like
smarter,
monkeys.
crows or cephalopods?
Cephalopods.
Okay.
For sure. I think that they might be actually aliens, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, supposedly they don't have DNA like ours.
Cephalopods
Or like
have
other
to have
mammals.
like eyes outside their body, like they're just using a whole morphic field to see everything, because how the heck do they change colors with stuff that like they're not even looking at? That blows my mind.
So remember I was telling you about that plant? Did we talk about it on the show? Or I think I just messaged you and was telling you
I think
about
you were
it.
just telling me about it.
So there's this plant that grows, and I forget what it's called now, but I sent it to Bonnie. And it can grow on fake plants and mimic the plant that it's growing on, the fake plant that it's growing on.
Okay.
So, and different parts of the plant, if it grows across multiple plants, each part will change to whatever plant it's touching. Now, the plant doesn't have eyes, right? So how are they doing this?
Chemical.
It's not chemicals
Chemical.
because it
Plastic?
It can mimic plastic
know?
plants.
That's amazing.
Wait. Oh, you're talking about, wait a minute, you're talking about plastic plants and what they did what?
No, the real plant can mimic the plastic plant. It can mimic any plant, like plastic plant that it's crawling on, like climbing on. So it's something beyond, chemical receptors that is finding out what particular plant DNA they're climbing on, because a plastic plant doesn't have any DNA
That's
to
so cool.
replicate. So they're somehow using like They think it's some type of photoreceptor in their cells
Okay.
to see what it's climbing on.
Okay.
So plants can see, possibly.
Right.
Which is
Without
cool.
eyes.
Without eyes.
Okay.
Which is super cool.
But it's done in slow motion, so it's not as hard to fathom as if it was done like an octopi can change and do the same thing.
Like what are the other ones?
Has eyes.
What are the other ones? The cuttlefish. They still do crazy impressive stuff though, because it's like, yeah, they have eyes, but like you would have to be like up from above to really see what the pattern is, and they just figure it out, and it takes some time too.
Well,
but
their eyes are like here on the sides of their heads, like bubbled out.
Mm-hmm.
So
but
they have like a
you're
different
putting
range of
weight-
view than a human does, because they need to see what's above them and below them, because they're going
360-degree eyes.
because they're going to be eaten if they don't know what's going on.
yeah, it's still just impressive.
It
It'll
is
be
impressive.
like a pattern that's not just like simple.
Chameleons, impressive with their
Mhm.
rotating eyes and changing colors, like all that. But
It is
plants-
different than the plants.
But plants is more impressive to me because they literally can't see.
We need more government funding of this plant so we can get to the bottom of this.
The cuttlefish also, like, they take some time too, so it's not just like instant.
So we're being interesting. What about you, David?
Well, what is the last thing you say, Bonnie, about cuttlefish? Instantly what?
Well, I said it's not just instantly. Like, they take some time. They sit there and like figure it out, I guess.
To figure out which thing, how to change, how to morph into
What color,
looking
what
like-
pattern to do.
Well, I've seen octopus do it pretty fast.
Yeah, they can change really fast. Like
I've seen them change. They're really fast to do the like scary thing where they're trying to scare something by changing really fast. But I guess I haven't seen them like do a pattern, like blend in with a pattern really fast. But they probably do. I don't know.
You're talking about Bonnie in color. Are you also talking about how they change shape and texture?
I forgot they do that. I had like a phase where I really cared about cuttlefish, and that was a while ago. Yeah.
So I'm
They're delicious.
Cuddle with them?
I've never eaten them, but I guess I would. I've eaten squid and octopus, so.
Did you cuddle with them?
I'm agnostic because I have no way to know what's going on. But there's so many things.
Well, all right.
I have no way to know if there's some type of creator that created
Oh,
human
okay.
beings.
Oh, I thought you meant about
cuttlefish.
eating them. But
No. But some things that exist really lend to like some kind of creation, like stick bugs.
Okay.
How did these things evolve to look exactly like a stick and mimic a stick?
Because the
bug
ones-
is not smart enough to know to mimic a stick.
Because the ones that mutated to look like a stick survived.
Yes, but how did nature create a bug
It didn't.
that
It
looked
was
like
a-
a stick?
it was a
I think it's
mutation.
because
You know what
of.
I'm saying?
I think
I
one
hear you.
answer.
Rockfish.
I believe
Same
in
thing.
God, but I don't believe in it the way like, oh, there's just a being out there that was like, I'm going to do this and that. But the one thing I think kind of answers that without a God or creation is structure and energy is like all there is. And then, like when you think about like, oh, what kind of animals are in Australia, they must be totally different than the animals. A lot of times they're like very similar, but like just like a slightly different variation.
Some of them.
And it's just because there's just like structures that work out.
Some of them are similar. Like nothing's like the duck-billed platypus. But that's not the stuff I'm talking about. I'm talking about things that like look exactly like another
I
thing.
get it.
Like a stick bug
Understood.
looks exactly
It's the prevalence of genetic mutations that survive over time.
Yes.
Like it didn't, whatever it was
But how did
before.
it happen to just have a genetic mutation that caused it to look exactly like a stick?
Well, we know that's not the only thing working
Because you're
anymore.
talking about years of minor mutations.
Right.
But we
over,
also
like,
know that
millions of years.
that's not necessarily the only way to do things anymore. Like we used to think, like science used to agree that, oh, well, it was just like random mutations, and the ones that looked like sticks the most stuck or, lived.
Survived, yeah.
But now we know that epigenetics is a thing, and it's like it can happen in a generation. Or you can turn on and off genes in your body. Like the thing is, like your genes don't change, but the expression of them can change in your own lifetime. Like
Even
it'd be
more so.
really difficult to be like, oh, I want brown eyes, so I'm just going to do it. I feel like it could be done.
I can go get my eyes lasered now to turn them blue.
But it didn't start as a stick
And it's
bug.
creepy, kind of.
Right? It evolved into a stick bug. It didn't start as a rockfish. It evolved into a rockfish.
So yes, it evolved into a rockfish. But then how did that rockfish know to bury itself in the sand because it looks like a rock? How does the stick bug know to pretend it's a stick? You know what I'm saying? Like these things evolved to look exactly like a thing and then mimic that thing's behavior.
Yeah, because the rockfish that didn't bury itself in the sand to look like a rock got eaten.
How do they know they look like rocks? They're fish. They barely have any kind of brain.
I don't know. If something's about to eat me, you just hide. And if you happen to look, if you happen to be wearing camouflage and hiding in the wilderness, you just survive.
There's too many things out there that make some kind of design sense in that kind of way for me to think that all of these things are just random.
I was hearing Georgi Dinkov on the Generative Energy podcast talk about how your surroundings are encoded into your DNA, and if you think about it, even like the stuff you look at all day is going to be encoded into your children, even though they weren't alive at the time you're like looking at it. And I guess I don't know, some of the fish could be like looking at the rocks all day. I don't have an answer.
Start to look like rocks, like
No, one of them, again, you're talking about like millions of years of small mutations or what the epigenetics all at once. But it's not again like it just looked like a rock one day. It slowly did, and the ones that slowly looked more like it.
Yes. How does it slowly turn into looking like a rock with no direction, like no directional input?
Because the ones that survived passed on the genetics.
If a fish starts to kind of like look a little bumpy, wouldn't that stand out more? Wouldn't a fish that doesn't look like the other fish stand out more and possibly get eaten? So like, if there's no direction, there's no directional. And why would the other fish want to mate with a fish that looks weird?
It is
and
like
bumpy.
It's kind of like where does the what is this instinct thing?
What is
because
the instinct and the evolution going together to make this thing that acts and looks a specific way?
Like, how do dogs just know what to do when they have a baby, and humans are like, oh, there's no manual?
Well, that one's like natural.
It's their instinct.
Maternal instincts. You know what to do. When you have a baby, you know what to do. Like, you know that you have to feed the baby.
I wouldn't necessarily know, like, when do you cut the umbilical cord, blah, blah, blah. Like, pets do that. I mean, animals,
What'd you do before surgery? You just chew it off.
Right. They just chewed it off.
Horrible.
It's what you did.
I mean, you have to, or else your baby dies.
Yeah, but horrible.
I mean, you just got to watch, like, one other dog baby die because you didn't chew off its umbilical cord, and you're going to be like, oh.
Oh, you mean dogs? Sorry, I thought you meant humans did that.
Like people,
or humans.
back in the day.
Well,
humans
I feel like you have a rock. You can just drop a rock on it.
Eventually, they
chewing.
probably used a rock, but I mean, at one point humans didn't have tools.
And I also heard that they ate the placentas because it's like, well, if a lion's outside of the cave while you're giving birth, like you don't want it to smell flesh.
That too
makes sense.
Yep. Bury the dead.
But I still think, okay, like maybe birth isn't the best example, but there's all kinds of things that animals just know to do, and humans don't have that.
Yeah.
Fly south.
It's more the mutation that caused something to look a specific way and act a specific way to go along with the look. That to me is like extremely unlikely to just be random genetic mutation happenstance.
Okay. I mean, humans are pattern-seeking behaviors or beings, so
yes, but is genealogy is biology a pattern-seeking being? Like, is that like, it looks like a rock now, so I'm going to mutate some other genes so now it pretends to be a rock. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think they just hid in the sand and didn't get eaten.
What about leaf bugs, like stick bugs?
Same thing.
I
guess. Look like a stick.
But it doesn't
you didn't
necessarily mean that their look would change.
No, that's the random mutation part of it.
This has been Free Talk Live. We've been fantastic. You had a great time. Thanks for listening.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me.